Chapter 632, Regret It Now. _4. If Jia Zhenjin was happy with getting the standard version of Ice Skin Jade complexion, she would surely die of envy knowing that I have the Supreme Edition. Though Shangguan Furong could be a bit dominant, she did have some smarts. However, Zhao Yeshu completely ignored Shangguan Furong's implied intent and looked at the old Shangguan lady, saying, "I feel you must be quite satisfied with Daya, aren't you?" If she had followed Shangguan Furong's lead, that would have been foolish. Who wouldn't want such an excellent product like Ice Skin Jade complexion? Satisfied. The old Shangguan lady nodded her head repeatedly, very satisfied. Then when are you planning to settle this matter? It's not easy to find a good woman these days. Since Da Hui and her have such good karma, it's better to settle things down earlier for peace of mind, Zhao Yeshu continued. Though she had never met Daya in person, her impression of Daya was quite good. So what if she comes from a rural area? Even a girl from the countryside managed to get hold of the Supreme Edition Ice Skin Jade complexion. For the people in their elite circle, even the standard version was out of reach. The old Shangguan lady proceeded to say, that will depend on Da Hui and Daya's intentions. That she was older and some decisions should be made by the young people. Meddling too much could be bad. Things will straighten out naturally when they are supposed to. Moreover, Shangguan Da Hui is probably quite in a rush for this matter, even if she isn't. Wuxia World. Sight Zhao Yeshu nodded. That's right, this matter depends on the two main characters. I must stop imposing now, sister-in-law. I have things to attend to at home. Thank you for the Ice Skin Jade complexion. I should head back. With that, Zhao Yeshu took the gift box from Shangguan Furong's hands. Furong, visit me when you got the time. Looking at Shangguan Furong, it seemed that she didn't want to part with the Supreme Edition of Ice Skin Jade complexion. If she didn't leave now, she might not get the chance to later. Zhao Yeshu wasn't a fool. When the box left Shangguan Furong's hands, her heart also went empty. The Supreme Edition Ice Skin Jade complexion. It was originally hers. In just the blink of an eye, it became someone else's. Aunt. Shangguan Furong stood up, staring at the Ice Skin Jade complexion in Zhao Yeshu's hand. Furong, is there something else? Zhao Yeshu turned to look at Shangguan Furong, pretending not to understand the implication in Shangguan Furong's eyes. Aunt, that Ice Skin Jade complexion. Zhao Yeshu smiled and said, Furong, don't worry, I will use it well. I won't stay to bother you. I need to leave now. With that, she quickly left the Shangguan's home, afraid that Shangguan Furong might snatch the Ice Skin Jade complexion from her hand. Shangguan Furong fell despondently onto the sofa, her face extremely unpleasant. The old Shangguan woman asked in confusion, what happened? Shangguan Furong turned to the old Shangguan woman complaining, how could you give the Ice Skin Jade complexion to my aunt? Do you know how much effort it took me to get the Supreme Edition? I woke up at 7 this morning, arrived at the mall at 8, and couldn't get even a standard version. You even gave away my thing without telling me. Shangguan Furong was upset. How could it be like this? That was her thing. Old lady Shangguan looked up at Shangguan Furong. Didn't you say that the Ice Skin Jade complexion was fake? What? You regret it now? Shangguan Furong was taken aback. Even if it is a fake, you can't just give it to someone else. The old Shangguan woman calmly turned a page of her newspaper. It doesn't matter since the one whose face will be ruined isn't you. Why are you so worried? Old lady Shangguan did this on purpose. She wanted to irritate Shangguan Furong. Otherwise, she would forever remain ungrateful. Shangguan Furong started to argue. I said it would ruin her face, but I didn't say I don't want it. I may be old, but my memory isn't failing. If I remember correctly, you directly refused Daya yesterday morning, didn't you? Shangguan Furong's regret made her want to retch. Old Madam Shangguan continued. Furong, I have told you many times not to judge people by their appearance and background. You never break this habit. Also, you really need to change your domineering attitude. Or else who will be able to tolerate you in the future? As long as Zhao Shen can tolerate me, it's enough. Shangguan Furong was vexed. Why do you care so much? I'm leaving now. Zhao Shen was Shangguan Furong's husband, normally under her tight control. In private, Zhao Shen had complained to the old Shangguan woman countless times. Chapter 633, Regret It Now. _5. Lady Shangguan felt deep sympathy for her honest and obedient son-in-law. She intended to aid Zhao Shen, but she had no control over her daughter at all. Lady Shangguan watched Shangguan Furong's retreating figure, shaking her head helplessly. Shangguan Furong returned to the Zhao house, fuming with rage. "Furong, you're back." Zhao Shen immediately rose from the sofa. Pour me a cup of tea." "Oh, all right." Zhao Shen immediately poured Shangguan Furong a cup of tea. After taking one sip, Shangguan Furong immediately spat the tea back out. "Zhao Shen, are you deliberately trying to irritate me? Didn't I tell you already? I don't like pure tea. I want Bilyuakun tea." "Bilyuakun tea? What part of that do you not understand?" Shangguan Furong was already seething with anger, and Zhao Shen, the perennial scapegoat, was an easy target. Zhao Shen immediately trembled with fear, and quickly fetched a tissue to wipe Shangguan Furong's mouth. I'm sorry. I was going to drink this pure tea myself. I poured the wrong pot. I'll pour you another one." "Zhao Shen!" exclaimed Shangguan Furong. She slammed her teacup onto the tea table. "How many times have I told you? You are not allowed to drink pure tea either. There shouldn't be any pure tea in this house. Who allowed you to buy it? Who gave you the permission? Are you trying to rebel?" "Furong, I'm sorry. I won't dare to do it again next time." Zhao Shen, the strange man, preferred black and red teas like pure, but Shangguan Furong only liked green tea, and only drank green tea. And so the conflict escalated. Wuxia World. Sight Wuxia World. Sight. Ko Shangguan Furong, too furious to speak, picked up the teapot and smashed it to the ground, pointing at the shards. "Kneel down." "Zhao Shen, I finally realized. Unless I make you suffer a bit, you will never remember my rules." Zhao Shen's mother emerged from the inner room, looking at her dominating and overbearing daughter-in-law, too stunned to speak. Zhao Shen was a pushover, and he knelt down when Shangguan Furong ordered him to do so. Those were sharp shards. How could anyone kneel on them without getting hurt? Zhao Shen's mother frowned out of concern. But there was nothing she could do about it. Who could be blamed when her son was so spineless? Just then the butler came to inform, "Madam, Miss Zhao is here." Shangguan Furong turned to Zhao Shen. "Go kneel in the room." "All right, Furong, don't be angry. You know what the books say, anger can make you age faster." Zhao Shen quickly made his way toward the bedroom. Soon after, Jia Zhenjin entered from outside. "Furong." "Zhenjin." Shangguan Furong greeted, smiling. "Furong, what happened to you at the mall? Why did you just leave suddenly?" Jia Zhenjin asked, concerned. Shangguan Furong replied, "It's nothing." Of course, she couldn't say that she had missed out on the supreme edition of the Ice Skin Jade Cream. All thanks to the old lady Shangguan. And Daya. Surely she did it on purpose. If she had just said earlier that this was the supreme edition of Ice Skin Jade Cream, there wouldn't have been this misunderstanding, right? Rural people will always remain rural people, and could never step into the spotlight. Even though she had taken her anger out on Zhao Shen just now, Shangguan Furong was still livid. Jia Zhenjin glanced at the shattered pieces on the floor and whispered, "Did you have another fight with Ziking's dad?" Ziqing was Shangguan Furong's eldest daughter, 9 years old. Shangguan Furong grumbled, "He's as useless as trash. He's not even comparable to Mo Qishan." Jia Zhenjin tugged at Shangguan Furong's sleeve, signaling for her to lower her voice. Shangguan Furong retorted, "What's there to be afraid of? I didn't say anything wrong." Ultimately, the head of the Shangguan household was her. Who would dare to do anything to her? Be they young or old. Everyone had to live by her rules. Jia Zhenjin pulled Shangguan Furong to the sofa and whispered, "Furong, you should really keep your temper in check. Despite everything, Ziking's dad is a man, and he has his own dignity. If you keep this up, aren't you afraid that he might retaliate one day?" Jia Zhenjin had known Shangguan Furong for many years now, and she was very familiar with her temper. Too hot-tempered and too domineering. "Furong, some truthful words are unpleasant to hear." At her words, Shangguan Furong's expression changed. She nodded slowly. I get it." Jia Zhenjin knew it wasn't a good time to stay around, so she said, "Knowing you're okay puts my mind at ease." Oh, get going then. Shengguan Furong nodded. School. And Young had an exam in Chinese yesterday afternoon. Today she was scheduled for math and English exams. She arrived at the campus right when the classes had just been dismissed. And Young was dressed in a blue and white school uniform, holding a few books. As she strolled down the path shaded by camphor trees, she attracted the attention of quite a few students who stopped to watch. Chapter 634. Regret it now. _6. Oh my God. She's beyond beautiful. Even some girls couldn't help but exclaim. That's an Young, isn't it? Yes, that's her, an Young from class 5. I heard she's super talented. She doesn't need to attend classes, and only comes for exams. She's incredible. And Young is so pretty. I would be satisfied if I were half as pretty as her. And Young seemed to have not heard the discussions around her, her face impassive. If it were many years ago when she heard such words, she would have felt somewhat thrilled. With more experiences, she became indifferent. And Young. A figure dashed from behind towards her. And Young turned to look and saw it was Li Wei. And Young paused. If she remembered correctly, hadn't Li Wei already graduated? Surprised to see me? Changes during the puberty can be pretty fast. After not seeing him for a long summer break, Li Wei seemed to have grown much taller, and his voice had deepened. Wuxia World. Sight Wuxia World. Sight. Ko and Young nodded. Quite surprised. Didn't you graduate already? Li Wei chuckled. It seems you do care about me. And Young. Li Wei continued. I was joking with you. I didn't do well in college entrance exam, so I chose to repeat a year, am now in class 8. Oh. And Young nodded. I see. Brother away. Zhou Xuemei caught up from behind. Li Wei seemed somewhat reluctant to let Young see how close he was with Zhou Xuemei. He just nodded coolly. Zhou Xuemei's expression darkened slightly. Li Wei continued. The exam is about to begin. How's your preparation, Young? It's going well. And Young nodded. After a pause she added. I need to leave now, I have something to do. After finishing, she ran off in the direction of the teaching building. It seems like Young doesn't like me. Zhou Xuemei complained. Li Wei added. Maybe you misunderstood Young? She's actually quite nice. Having heard that, Zhou Xuemei felt even more aggrieved. She and Li Wei were childhood friends, but ever since the arrival of Young, it seemed like Li Wei wasn't as enthusiastic about her anymore. She had to study hard. Surpass Young academically. Make Li Wei take notice of her. Zhou Xuemei made a fist in determination. The two of them proceeded towards the teaching building, each lost in their thoughts. At 1:30 in the afternoon, the monthly exam officially began. As soon as Young started her math paper, she felt a familiar pain in her abdomen. Could this be happening? Young frowned slightly. She had been so busy recently that she had lost track of the days. It seemed like her period was due today. During menstruation a woman's body tends to be at its weakest, and Young was no exception. And on top of that, she suffered from severe period pain. Despite having taken several medicines with no effect, Young simply gave up being treated. After all, the pain only lasts for a day or two. This probably explains why they say doctors can't cure themselves. She didn't have any sanitary napkins on her, and she was in the examination room with 2 male invigilators. If she tried to bear the pain, it could end up in a bloodbath. After several seconds of hesitation, Young raised her hand. What's wrong, student Young? Although the invigilator wasn't from her class, Young was quite well known at school, it would be hard not to know her. Teacher, I have a stomachache, can I take a leave? Once these words were spoken, everyone in the examination room turned curious or concerned eyes towards Young. This, the invigilator hesitated a moment, then said, Can you hold on for a bit longer, Young? Probably not. Regarding student health as the top priority, the invigilator continued. In that case, you can go. I'll speak to your class teacher for you. Thank you, teacher son. Young bent to thank the teacher, picked up her draft paper and pencil box, and walked towards the classroom exit. As soon as Young left, teacher Sun came to pick up the test paper from her table. Seeing this, the other teacher immediately came over. How's the dark horse performing? Behind the scenes, everyone referred to Na Yang as the dark horse instead of calling her by her name. It's only been 20 minutes and she's completed half of it. All correct. Teacher Sun handed the test paper to him. Why can't such a brilliant student be in our class? The other teacher also sighed. After Na Yang left the classroom, she first went to the restroom, using tissue paper as a temporary fix. Then she took off her school uniform, tied it around her waist, and quickly rode her bike to the supermarket. Chapter 635. Regret it now. _7 In the lunar month of October, Na Yang was only wearing a white knit sweater. A light breeze carried a touch of chill, and combined with her monthly cycle, Na Yang looked a bit pale. Before the 1980s, there were no menstrual pads in China. In 1984, menstrual pads had only recently been introduced to China. Before the 1980s, everyone used cloth menstrual belts. A menstrual belt was a strip of cloth sewn together. Most households kept two, one to be worn and one for washing, during the menstrual cycle. Although menstrual pads had been introduced to China, the vast majority still used menstrual belts. That was because a pack of menstrual pads cost 8 or 9 yuan, but at that time, people's monthly salary was only about 30-something yuan, which made them unaffordable. And because sales were low, very few stores sold them. You had to go to specific stores. And Na Yang did buy quite a few for home use. But now she was in the city. And Na Yang quickened her pace. She must hurry. Just then, a luxurious car suddenly stopped in front of Na Yang. Wuxia World. Sight ordinarily, Na Yang would definitely think that this car looked familiar, but today, she suddenly felt irritable. Whose damn car was this? How impolite. Didn't they realize she was in a hurry? Just as Na Yang was about to lose her temper, the driver's window rolled down, and Wu Daming's excited face appeared. Sister-in-law. Sister-in-law. Before Na Yang could react, the back car door was pushed open from inside, and a long leg came into view first. Following the line of the leg upward, a clear-cut face came into view. Brother Mo. The anger within Na Yang vanished instantly. Yang. Mo Qishan walked over and gathered Na Yang into his arms. It's so cold out. Why are you dressed so lightly? As he spoke, Mo Qishan took off his dark blue trench coat and wrapped it around Na Yang. The trench coat wasn't thick but carried a warm body temperature, along with a faint scent of smoke, giving an inexplicably reassuring feeling. When did you get back, Brother Mo? Na Yang looked up at Mo Qishan. Mo Qishan was bending over, busily buttoning the coat. Just got off the plane. He had originally planned to surprise Na Yang, but after bumping into her on the street, Mo Qishan couldn't control himself anymore. Just then, Na Yang felt another wave of pain from within her body. She grasped Mo Qishan's arm. Brother Mo, I gotta go, I need to make a trip to the store. What if she really bled profusely? I'll have Wu Daming drive you there. It's too cold to ride a bike. Look how pale your face is. Mo Qishan reached out to pinch her face. Not only pale but also icy cold. Na Yang hesitated for a second and then nodded. All right. Wu Daming efficiently shoved the bike into the trunk. Na Yang and Mo Qishan got into the back seat. Yang, are you not feeling well? Mo Qishan tightly clasped Na Yang's hand, finding that it was not warming up despite his efforts. No, I'm okay. Na Yang shook her head. Just drive me to the store up ahead. How was she supposed to tell him about this? Seeing Na Yang's hand resting on her belly, her face pale, her hands and feet freezing cold, Mo Qishan quickly concluded what was happening and told Wu Daming, who was at the driver's seat. Daming, speed up. The car quickly reached the store. Na Yang immediately leaned over to get out of the car, but was held back by Mo Qishan. Stay in the car or go. Na Yang slightly frowned. Do you know what I need to buy? Mo Qishan's ears reddened for a moment. Yes. Are you sure you do? Mo Qishan's ears turned even redder. Na Yang's ears turned red as well. Oh my goodness. Could he possibly know what she was talking about? Wu Daming curiously turned his head. Brother Six, sister-in-law, what kind of riddle are you playing? What's all this talk about knowing or not knowing? You'll understand when you have a girlfriend. Mo Qishan looked up at Wu Daming. Wu Daming. Yet another day being fed with dog food. It'll be right over. Mo Qishan closed the car door. Inside the store, Mo Qishan pointed to the red jar on the counter. I'll take that one. Most of the menstrual pads at this time were jar-packed. The salesgirl was a young lady. She had hardly seen any man buying these, and her cheeks turned red too. She asked, "Comrade, is this it?" Mo Qishan first nodded, then shook his head. "Give me the best one." "Oh my goodness! Whose husband is this? So considerate. How about this imported one then? It's 18 yuan. Is this the best one?" Mo Qishan asked. "Yes." The sales clerk nodded. "I'll take this one." The salesgirl was really excited. Whose husband is this considerate, willing to buy such expensive sanitary pads? After choosing the sanitary pads, Mo Qishan then went to the clothing store next door and bought a set of new clothes. Only then did he return to the car, stuffed the things into Anai Yang's arms, and then directed Wu Daming to proceed to Wanqing Villa. Anai Yang blushed as she glanced at the stuff in the bag. He didn't buy the wrong one. How did he figure it out? Anai Yang tugged at Mo Qishan's sleeve, whispering, "I need to go to the bathroom." Mo Qishan nodded. "I know. Don't worry, we'll be there soon." Soon, the car stopped in front of a beautiful villa. Mo Qishan got out of the car first and opened the door for Anai Yang. The moment Anai Yang stepped out of the car, she was scooped up in the arms of Mo Qishan. Anai Yang, who was caught off guard, let out a gasp and quickly wrapped her arms around Mo Qishan's neck. "Put me down quickly." "No." Mo Qishan turned to Wu Daming. "Daming, you can leave first." "Okay, Brother Six, remember to call me if you need anything." Wu Daming pointed to the pager in his pocket. Mo Qishan nodded, then carried Anai Yang into the villa. "Brother Mo, I can walk on my own." "Are you sure?" Mo Qishan glanced at her abdomen. Anai Yang crap. Although Mo Qishan doesn't stay in this villa often, it's regularly cleaned by someone. The interior was very clean. Mo Qishan led Anai Yang to the master bedroom, single-handedly pulled open the bathroom door, put Anai Yang down and said, "There are new toiletries inside. I am outside. Remember to call me if you need anything." Anai Yang nodded, reaching out to close the bathroom door. Soon, there were sounds of splashing water coming from inside. Mo Qishan sat on the sofa in the living room, and in no time, there were a few cigarette butts in the ashtray. Anai Yang stayed in there quite a while. She washed her clothes and put them in the bag that used to hold her new clothes. Just as she came out of the bathroom, she saw Mo Qishan coming over with a bowl. Yang, get to the bed and rest. Drink this Angelica brown sugar water first." Anai Yang squinted her eyes, took a step forward, stood on a higher step than Mo Qishan, and reached up to rest her hand on his shoulder. "Tell me, do you often flirt with ladies like this? Confess, it's less severe to confess than to resist." "Young lady." Mo Qishan was taken aback. "My oldest sister is 22 years older than me. My second sister is 18 years older than me. I don't have a younger sister." Chapter 636. To get rich, first build roads. _1. Anai Yang couldn't help but burst into laughter. "Brother Mo, are you genuinely clueless or are you pretending?" Mo Qishan said, "I genuinely don't have a little sister." Anai Yang explained, "The little sister I'm referring to is different from the one you're imagining. In this context, it's someone you're fond of, someone you yearn for when you don't see them for just a day." Men from the 80s had a bit of chauvinistic mindset, and sex education hadn't been popularized yet. It was rare for a man to understand a woman's needs so well. Yet Mo Qishan knew to buy sanitary pads, laundry items, and even knew about Angelica brown sugar water. It was clear he had experience doing such things. There is a beauty unforgettable at first sight. If I don't see her for a day, I'll be consumed by thoughts of her. Mo Qishan casually placed the bowl on the side table, taking the initiative by pulling Anai Yang into his arms. Yang, you are my little sister." Anai Yang froze for a moment, but then leaned into his embrace. The simple hug lasted for about 2 minutes. Then Mo Qishan let go of Anai Yang and nudged her onto the sofa. "Hurry up and drink the sweet soup before it cools down." Anai Yang took the porcelain bowl. And to think you claimed you hadn't courted other little sisters before? Wuxia world. Sight Wuxia world. Sight. My sense of smell is naturally sharper than others, Emochishan explained. And this? I asked Aunt Lisa, our cleaning lady. His face turned red as he spoke. It was his first time ever asking such questions. Even Aunt Lisa was taken aback. While Enai Yang was bathing, Aunt Lisa kept stealing glances, curious to see what the girl who had charmed their master looked like. Really? Enai Yang was skeptical. Really? Emochishan held up 3 fingers. Boss, I swear, you're the only little sister I've ever had. Enai Yang took a sip of the Angelica brown sugar water. Then I guess I'll reluctantly believe you this time. Yang, do you want to rest a bit on the bed? Emochishan asked next. No need. Perhaps because of the Angelica brown sugar water, Enai Yang didn't feel any abdominal pain today. It's getting late, I should head back. She had been in the bathroom for an hour. Combined with the time she spent on the road, it was already after 5 in the afternoon. The sunset streamed in through the window, bathing the room in a golden glow. It was beautiful and peaceful. Leaving so early? Emochishan reached for the empty bowl. It's already past 5. Enai Yang pointed to the clock on the wall. Emochishan picked up his coat, casually draping it over his body. Then I'll escort you home. No need, I can take a taxi back. You should go home and check in. I'm sure your parents are waiting for you. Enai Yang said. Emochishan laughed. They don't know I'm back today. Come on, I'll take you. All right. Enai Yang nodded. Just as they were about to leave, Aunt Lisa came in to pick up the empty bowl. Aunt Lisa, this is Miss Enai. Emochishan introduced. Aunt Lisa, a blonde, blue-eyed woman from M country. To be accurate, aside from Wu Daming, everyone around Emochishan was a foreigner. Looking at Enai Yang, Aunt Lisa's eyes gleamed with appreciation. Hello, Miss Enai. My God, this Eastern girl is too pretty. No wonder our master is so smitten with her. Hello, Aunt Lisa. Enai Yang greeted her warmly. Though she was beautiful, she didn't come off as aloof. She gave off a friendly vibe, unlike some who strutted around with an arrogant attitude because of their looks and talent. Emochishan escorted Enai Yang out of the villa. Somehow Wu Daming was already waiting outside the villa gate. On seeing Emochishan and Enai Yang approach, he immediately opened the car door. Brother 6, sister-in-law 6. Go to your sister-in-law's house. Emochishan responded gruffly. Okay. Wu Daming was a skilled driver, and they soon arrived at the entrance of Jinghua village. The roads in Jinghua village weren't great, and the sedan had a low ground clearance, so it couldn't be driven in. They had to park outside the village. Wu Daming said, Sister-in-law, didn't I hear you bought a place in the city? Yeah. Enai Yang nodded. Wu Daming continued. Then why haven't you moved in? City commute is so convenient. It'll take at least 10 minutes to walk from here to your house. Chapter 637. To get rich, build the road first. Enai Yang said with a smile. The city is too noisy. The countryside is more serene. It's a good opportunity to get some exercise on the walk home. Even though the city was bustling, Enai Yang felt no sense of belonging there. She had a fondness for the countryside. However, Wu Daming's words reminded her of something. Wu Daming further said, 6th sister-in-law, I heard you've been investing in real estate. How many properties have you bought in the city? Enai Yang thought for a moment. Probably more than 20. I've lost count. Having too many houses brought its own troubles. Wu Daming swallowed hard, then gave Enai Yang a thumbs up. Indeed, family members are all alike. He had assumed that only Emochishan was foolishly buying so many houses. He didn't expect Enai Yang to have done the same. Houses couldn't be eaten. What was the point of buying so many? When the time came, they would surely regret it if they got stuck with them. Enai Yang smiled faintly and turned to look at Emochishan. Brother Emo, I think I'll head home first. Wuxia world. Sight Wuxia world. Sight. Wait a moment. Emochishan held her hand. What is it? Enai Yang looked back at him. Emochishan said. We're at your home's doorstep. I should, of course, pay Auntie a visit. He prided himself on being a good son-in-law. Wu Daming hurriedly opened the trunk and took out the gifts he had prepared in advance. Sixth brother, here you go. Mo Qishan, holding Inai Yang's hand with one hand and taking the gifts with the other, said, Daming, you can head back first. Come and pick me up around 8 or 9. All right. Wu Daming nodded. Hand in hand, Mo Qishan and Inai Yang headed towards the Inai family home. Even though night had fallen, they still encountered quite a few villagers. Mo Qishan was a very polite young man and greeted everyone they met. Inai Tsuehua was cooking in the kitchen. They were having a hot pot dinner that evening, and the aroma of stir-fried hot pot base wafted through the yard. Upon seeing Mo Qishan, Inai Tsuehua expressed her surprise. Xiaoma, when did you come back? Mo Qishan replied. Auntie, I took the 1 o'clock flight this afternoon. Inai Tsuehua nodded. The hot pot was a double flavor pot. Inai Yang, who always had a liking for spicy food, looked at the red pot while nibbling at the clear broth pot to satisfy her cravings. Fortunately, the soup base of the clear hot pot was also very flavorful. Hot pot was an ideal dish for cold weather, and it wasn't long before beads of sweat formed on Inai Yang's nose tip. Xiaoma, are you free on the 18th? Inai Tsuehua looked at Mo Qishan. Auntie, do you need something? Mo Qishan curiously looked at Inai Tsuehua. Even Inai Yang was slightly curious. Inai Chingui bit into a large fish ball and chimed in. Something good is coming. Auntie Inai, what good thing? Inai Yang asked. Inai Chingui just chuckled without saying anything, continuing to eat his vegetables. Inai Tsuehua went on to say, Your uncle Shengguan told me today that they will be coming over for a visit on the 18th. Mo Qishan also seemed to understand something and immediately nodded. I'll be free, Auntie. I've been quite idle recently. Inai Tsuehua said with a smile. Since you're free, come over that day, Xiaoma, and meet more people. Okay. Mo Qishan nodded. After dinner, Inai Yang escorted Mo Qishan home. But she was only responsible for sending him to the edge of the village. Yang, who is this Uncle Shengguan? Mo Qishan didn't have the heart to ask at the dinner table. Inai Yang replied. Uncle Shengguan is my mom's boyfriend. His full name is Shengguan Dahui. Mo Qishan was momentarily shocked. He didn't expect that Inai Tsuehua would have found a companion so quickly. It seemed that the meeting on the 18th definitely had the implication of acknowledging relatives. The fact that Inai Tsuehua invited him to join meant that she didn't see him as an outsider. The corners of Mo Qishan's mouth involuntarily curled up in a smile. That's a good thing. Auntie is still young. She should have a companion. Mo Qishan held Inai Yang's hand tighter. Inai Yang nodded with a smile. Yes, I know. A normal child, upon learning her mother was seeking another companion, would generally have some reservations and need to confide this to someone. But not Inai Yang. She truly wished for Inai Qihua's happiness. That's why Mo Qishan was so fond of her. Because he believed that there was no one else in this world more understanding than her. Being with her could make a person feel utterly relaxed. Upon returning home, Inai Yang didn't immediately lie down on the bed. Instead, she sat at her desk, completely engrossed in sketching out a design. The next day, Inai Yang went to the bank to check her balance. After returning home, she went to the village chief's house. Inai Yang was quite popular in Jinghua village, and this was no exception at the village chief's home. Village chief Li received her warmly. He brought out the tea leaves that were usually only brewed for festivals and special occasions. Chapter 638. To get rich, first build roads. _3. Inai Yang stood up, took the teacup handed over by the village chief, and said, You really don't have to be so polite, village chief. I'm only here to discuss something with you. After that, I'll be leaving. Village chief Li responded with a smile. That's perfect. We can chat while enjoying our tea. Inai Yang sipped her tea and continued. Village chief Li, the roads in our village become muddy every time it rains. It is very inconvenient for the elderly and children to walk on them. Yang, are you thinking about fixing the road? Village chief Li inferred from Inai Yang's words. Yes, Inai Yang nodded in confirmation. Village chief Li took a puff of his cigarette. Yang, you know the situation in our village. Before you came back, everyone couldn't even afford meat. At the moment, There is no supportive policy from the government. Talking about road construction is easy, but it requires a substantial amount of money. Even if each household in our village could contribute 100 yuan, it would not be sufficient to cover the costs. Road construction requires stones, cement, sand, and the wages and living allowances of the workers. Altogether, it would cost at least over 100,000 yuan. That isn't a small amount of money. And Young took out a small notebook and continued. Village chiefly, I've calculated that our village needs about 20 kilometers of cement road. Building a road about 4.5 meters wide and 20 centimeters thick would require approximately 240 tons of cement, 1,920 tons of sand, and including labor costs and so on, it would cost around 100,000 yuan. I will cover this 100,000 yuan. In the era that followed, based on the price of 138 yuan per meter, a 20-kilometer cement road would cost at least over 2 million yuan. However, this was the cheap and economical 1980s after all. To get rich, build roads first. And Young had thought it through. She wanted to help build the road in Jinghua village. Only in this way, she thought, could the village further develop in the future. Wuxia world. Sight upon hearing her words, village chiefly was stunned. Yang, what did you just say? 100,000 yuan. That was not a small sum. And Yang said, Village chiefly, you heard me right. I am completely sober. I want to build a road. Village chiefly took a deep puff of his cigarette. Yang, does your mother know about this? And Yang nodded. Don't worry, I've already discussed it with my mom. And Tsuehua was also a very grateful person. The villagers of Jinghua village had always treated her and her daughter well. Now that their economic conditions had improved, it was only right for them to give back to Jinghua village. Helping others can be a form of self-help too. Yang, are you really not joking with me? Village chiefly still found it hard to believe. And Yang said very seriously, Village chiefly, you don't have to worry. I am not joking with you. If you agree to construct the road, we can start implementing it tomorrow. Then the construction team can come to me for reimbursement. Yang, on behalf of all the villagers, thank you. Village chiefly stood up and bowed to Yang. At a certain medical laboratory, a thin woman clad in a white lab coat and wearing a face mask was bustling around the lab bench. An elderly woman with silvery hair was sitting across from her. Dr. Xiaoran, how are the identification results? Lady Shangguan was very nervous and uneasy at the moment. She was waiting for the identification results. She had a hunch that Tsuehua was somehow tied to her. If not, then she might never find her daughter in this lifetime. Dr. Xiaoran poured the red liquid in one test tube into another one filled with a blue liquid. Aunt Qing, don't worry. The identification results are not out yet. They're not out yet. Lady Shangguan became anxious. Didn't they say the results would be out in 3 months? How come there are still no results yet? Dr. Xiaoran apologized. There is a problem with the identification machine, so it may take a while longer. Aunt Qing, I'm really sorry to have kept you waiting all this time. Hearing this made Lady Shangguan sigh. Dr. Xiaoran looked up at Lady Shangguan and noticed her complexion seemed off. Aunt Qing, has your coughing gotten worse recently? Lady Shangguan responded. It hasn't gotten much worse, it's still the same. Dr. Zioran's brow furrowed. What did Dr. Jiang say? Lady Shangguan avoided directly answering Dr. Zioran's question. Instead she asked, how much longer do we have to wait? Dr. Xiaoran replied, the new machine is still being shipped. Adding the time needed for the identification process, I'm afraid we need to wait until after the new year. After saying this, she added, if you are in a hurry, I can recommend a trustworthy doctor for you. Lady Shangguan shook her head. I only trust you now. Chapter 639. To get rich, first build roads. _4. Dr. Xiaoran stopped what she was doing, sat opposite the old Mrs. Zheng, reached out and held her hand. Qing, your illness can't be postponed anymore. If Dr. Jiang is not confident about treating you, you should seek other doctors as soon as possible. Dr. Xiaoran is trained in forensic science. Her understanding about human health is not very extensive. She only noted a particularly unhealthy pallor on the old Mrs. Shangguan's face. Mrs. Zheng laughed. As people grow older, the organs in the body start to fail. This has nothing to do with Dr. Jiang's medical skills. Xiaoran, I trust Dr. Jiang just like I trust you. She had been dealing with Dr. Jiang for half of her life. All her major and minor sicknesses were treated by him. If she suddenly replaced him with another doctor now, wouldn't it put Dr. Jiang in an awkward position? Mrs. Zheng was a person who deeply valued relationships. Dr. Xiaoran slightly furrowed her eyebrows. Aching, this isn't about trust. Dr. Jiang is old, his education is old-fashioned. Some young doctors are actually more professional than him. Dr. Xiaoran had met Dr. Jiang before. He was a very kind old man. Dr. Xiaoran did not doubt his character, but she felt that his medical expertise wasn't that strong. Mrs. Zheng continued. I understand. All right, let's not discuss this any further. If the identification results are ready, make sure to inform me first. Yes. Dr. Xiaoran nodded and escorted Mrs. Zheng out. Butler Lu was standing by the laboratory door. Wuxia World. Site Wuxia World. Site. Ko upon seeing Dr. Xiaoran helping Mrs. Zheng out, he immediately stepped forward and took Mrs. Zheng's arm. Madam. Mrs. Zheng seemed taken aback. Butler Lu, why are you here? She did not inform anyone that she was coming. Madam, let's get in the car first. Butler Lu did not answer Mrs. Zheng's question directly, and opened the rear door of the car. As soon as the car door closed, an old voice echoed in the air. Aching, how are the identification results? Mrs. Zheng turned her head to see Mr. Zheng Jun sitting beside her. Over the years, Mr. Zheng Jun indulged himself in opera and gardening. He hardly cared about what happened in the outside world, or within the Zheng family. All these matters were handled by Mrs. Zheng alone. Previously, when Mrs. Zheng was busy searching for their daughter, Mr. Zheng didn't poke his nose into it. But this time, Mr. Zheng even followed her here, which surprised Mrs. Zheng. Mrs. Zheng shook her head. Xiaoran said the machine had some problems. We have to wait for a new one to arrive. The identification results may not come out until after the new year. Hearing this, Mr. Zheng sighed. There was silence in the car. After a long while, Mr. Zheng spoke again. Is that child really similar to our Tingting? Yes, Mrs. Zheng nodded. Very similar, especially her daughter. She looks exactly like Tingting when she was young. Aching. Mr. Zheng suddenly held Mrs. Zheng tightly, his voice choked with emotion. Do you think I will have the chance to see Tingting in this lifetime? Mr. Zheng was 12 years older than Mrs. Zheng. He is over 70 years old this year. He feared he might never see his only daughter again. Over the years, it wasn't that he didn't miss his daughter, he just didn't show it. He was afraid that his yearning would emotionally burden Mrs. Zheng, so he sought solace in gardening and dramatic arts. But recently, he felt that his health was deteriorating, and often dreamt of his long-deceased parents. They didn't speak in his dreams, they just smiled and gestured him to come over. Mr. Zheng had a constant feeling that his end was near. Mrs. Zheng's eyes started to tear up. What nonsense are you talking about? You will definitely meet Tingting. We both will see Tingting together. The elderly couple sobbed together. The atmosphere in the car became suffocating and tense. After a long while, the two old people managed to calm their emotions. Mrs. Zheng spoke to Butler Lu, who was driving at the front. Butler Lu, let's go to Dr. Wang. At that time, there were 2 strands of hair. One was given to Dr. Xiaoran, and another one was given to Dr. Wang. All right. Didn't you say that you don't trust Dr. Wang? Mr. Zheng turned his head to look at Mrs. Zheng. Although Mr. Zheng didn't have much of a presence in the Zheng family, and was not involved in the family affairs, his knowledge about the family wasn't less than Mrs. Zheng's. Mrs. Zheng continued. What if Dr. Wang comes up with useful evidence? At this point, they wouldn't give up on even the slightest bit of hope. Chapter 640. To get rich, first build roads. _5. Old Mr. Zheng nodded. Dr. Xiaoran watched the direction in which the sedan had vanished, and let out a deep sigh. From the day she remembered things, Mrs. Zheng had been searching for her daughter. This search had been going on for over 20 years. Soon, she was going to get married and have a baby, and Mrs. Zheng still hadn't found her hope. Dr. Xiaoran turned back to the laboratory and made a phone call. Hello, Lala. I need a favor. A pretty voice came from the other end. What is it, Xiaoran? There's something wrong with my detector here. Can you help me with the DNA identification? Sure. Thank you, Lala. Dr. Xiaoran continued. Then I will bring it to you right away. The person on the phone with Dr. Xiaoran is Zhou La, her college classmate and a very good friend. Although Mrs. Zheng doesn't believe in others, Dr. Xiaoran believes in Zhou La. Instead of waiting like this, it's better to let Zhou La do the identification first. With it under her name, no one would be the wiser. Wuxia World. Site Wuxia World. Site. After hanging up the phone, Dr. Xiaoran rode her bicycle to deliver the materials to Zhou La. Zhou La is a very enthusiastic person. She took the materials. Rest assured, Xiaoran. I've got this. Dr. Xiaoran hugged Zhou La. Thank you so much. That aunt of mine is really anxious to find her biological daughter. You're welcome. Zhou La patted Dr. Xiaoran on the back. She too had experienced the pain of losing a loved one, so she knew the pain of parting. Here. Old Mrs. Zheng and old Mr. Zheng arrived at Dr. Wang's place. Dr. Wang warmly welcomed the elderly couple. Old Mrs. Zheng made her request directly, without beating around the bush. Dr. Wang pushed up his glasses that were resting on his nose bridge. Mr. and Mrs. Zheng, please be mentally prepared. Old Mrs. Zheng nodded. Old Mr. Zheng took a sip of water from the cup he held. Only then did Dr. Wang bring out the identification report. Unfortunately, the identification results show that there is no biological relationship between the two of you and the other party. Even though they had already anticipated this result, old Mr. Zheng and old Mrs. Zheng couldn't help but feel disappointed. After a while, old Mrs. Zheng took the identification report from Dr. Wang's hand. All right, I understand. Dr. Wang continued. It has been 34 years since the incident. Everything has changed. I would advise you not to dwell on it. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. At your age, you cannot withstand the turmoil or shocks. Living in the present is most important. Old Mrs. Zheng nodded. Old Mr. Zheng angrily stood up, his eyes bloodshot. Go to hell with your living in the present. Because the lost one isn't your daughter. For many years, this was the first time that old Mrs. Zheng saw old Mr. Zheng lose his temper like this. She looked at old Mr. Zheng, and tears streamed down her face. It turns out, the person who seems to care the least is the one who cares the most. Dr. Wang was startled, his voice trembling. Mr. Zheng, getting angry won't help this situation. It had been 33 years, who knew if their daughter was dead? Let's go. Old Mrs. Zheng took hold of old Mr. Zheng's arm. Old Mr. Zheng pinched his temples, following old Mrs. Zheng out. Your grandpa sure has quite a temper. As the old couple left, a young man and woman appeared from the yard. Zheng Xianjing took a deep breath. My grandfather just misses my aunt too much. I just remembered that I have something to do. I have to go now. Please tell my uncle not to be angry with my grandpa. The young man had a look of regret on his face, reaching out to hold Zheng Xianjing's hand. Xianjing, didn't we agree to go watch a movie later? This young man was none other than Dr. Wang's son, Wang Xiaosheng. Zheng Xianjing said, I really do have something. When I'm free, I'll definitely go to the movies with you. At this point, Wang Xiaosheng had no value left. Naturally, she was ready to kick him aside. She would marry Mr. Mog if she were to marry. For men like Wang Xiaosheng, he barely qualified to be her shoe carrier. What about us? Zheng Xianjing feigned ignorance. What about us? Wang Xiaosheng said. I mean our relationship, Xianjing. Didn't you say that you would consider me? Give me a chance? Zheng Xianjing regretfully said. Xiaosheng, I think I need to consider that. Chapter 641. To get rich, first build roads. _6. Why? Wang Xiaosheng became impatient. Zheng Xianjing replied calmly. Xiaosheng, you need to calm down. Matters of the heart are not to be taken lightly. I cannot make decisions in haste. Moreover, from our time spent together, I feel we are not right for each other. You deserve better. Wang Xiaosheng was rooted to the spot. He didn't understand where he had gone wrong. Zheng Xianjing didn't give Wang Xiaosheng much time to think. She turned and left. She needed to rush home and share the good news with Lingling. Zhang Xianjing arrived home almost at the same time as the elderly Mr. and Mrs. Zhang. As soon as they arrived home, they noticed Lingling applying medicine to Suyu's wound on the couch. Startled by the noise at the door, Suyu screamed out, "Ghost! A ghost! The ghost is coming to kill me." Lingling comforted Suyu softly. "Auntie, don't frighten yourself. There are no ghosts in this world. It's just Mom and Dad who are back." Instead of calming down, Suyu seemed even more terrified, her eyes full of fear. She clung onto Lingling's sleeve tightly. "It's a ghost. They won't let me go. They're after me." "Suyu." Mrs. Zhang hurried over. "What happened her?" she asked Lingling. "She fell down the stairs by accident. Look, her arm is bruised." Lingling rolled up Suyu's sleeve. She refused to let the doctor apply medicine. Wuxia World. Site Wuxia World. Site. C0 Mrs. Zhang sighed. Zhang Xianjing gave Lingling a knowing look and took the medicine from Lingling's hand. "Mom, let me apply the medicine. Auntie listens to me best." Indeed, it was strange. Whenever Suyu was confused and lost, only Xianjing managed to calm her down. Lingling successfully understood her daughter's glance and addressed her parents. "Mom, Dad, where have you been?" Mrs. Zhang said. "Your father and I went for a stroll." "Oh." Lingling nodded. "You both do need to go out more often. Being cooped up at home isn't good." What a stubborn old woman. Still trying to keep things from her? Did she really think that Lingling was oblivious? Thank goodness Lingling had a contingency plan, and had Xianjing switch out the strand of hair entrusted to Dr. Wang. Mr. Zhang went to Suyu's side, touched Suyu's hair gently and said, "Suyu, when will you get better?" Suyu used to be a lively and spirited woman. How had she become like this? Suyu pushed Mr. Zhang's hand away, hid behind Xianjing and shrieked, "You're a ghost. Don't kill me. I beg you, don't kill me." Mr. Zhang sighed. If one day he and Mrs. Zhang were no longer around, what would become of Suyu? Would the younger generation be able to treat her with the same kindness? Zhang Xianjing gently patted Suyu's back. "Auntie, don't worry, Grandpa is your brother, not a ghost." Suyu wore a bizarre expression on her face. "He's a ghost." Lingling continued. "All right, Xianjing, take her back to her room to rest." "Okay." Xianjing nodded. "Mom, Dad, I'll fetch you the ginseng soup that I have prepared." Just as Lingling brought the ginseng soup, Dr. Jiang arrived carrying her medical bag. Today was Mrs. Zhang's day for follow-up. "Auntie Jiang." Lingling greeted as she rose to her feet. Dr. Jiang nodded, placed her medical bag on the coffee table and asked, "Aching, how have you been feeling lately?" "Not bad," answered Mrs. Zhang. "That's good," Dr. Jiang said, taking out her stethoscope. "I'll head upstairs first then," Mr. Zhang said to Mrs. Zhang. Mr. Zhang wasn't much of a talker when he was younger, and hardly interacted with outsiders apart from his close ones. Over the years, apart from the day when Dr. Jiang brought Lingling back, Mr. Zhang had hardly communicated with Dr. Jiang. Mrs. Zhang nodded. "You go ahead. Dad, you forgot to drink the ginseng soup." Lingling took the ginseng soup and followed behind Mr. Zhang. Mr. Zhang took the ginseng soup and drank all of it in one gulp. Dr. Jiang chuckled. "Lingling is a very dutiful child." Lingling replied, "You're too kind, Auntie Jiang. These are just responsibilities as a child." Dr. Jiang glanced at Mrs. Zhang's bowl of ginseng soup and continued, "This bowl of ginseng soup has many expensive ingredients and was personally prepared by Lingling. It must have required a lot of your time?" "Not really, I didn't have much else to do." Lingling returned to the room with the empty bowl. It didn't take long for Dr. Jiang to finish Mrs. Zhang's checkup. Lingling immediately asked anxiously, "Auntie Jiang, how is my mom doing?" "Absolutely fine. It's natural to have some ailments due to old age, but they are not serious." Dr. Jiang reassured Lingling and then patted Mrs. Zhang's shoulder. "Aching, you raised Lingling well. If it weren't for Lingling's meticulous care, Mrs. Zhang might have already passed on." Mrs. Zhang held onto Lingling's hand. "Lingling really is a dutiful child." Lingling blushed at the compliment. After making sure Mrs. Zhang was fine, Dr. Jiang asked to leave. "Lingling, can you see Dr. Jiang out?" Mrs. Zhang asked. She didn't feel up for it today. Okay. Lingling nodded. There's no need to see me out. I'm practically family. Dr. Jiang replied as she picked up her medical bag. Lingling laughed as she walked Dr. Jiang out. Auntie Jiang, you've done so much for my mom. Once outside, Lingling seemed to remember something. Auntie Jiang, my father's been feeling unwell lately. Do you have any calming or soothing medicine? I do. Dr. Jiang nodded, taking out a white bottle of pills. Half a pill at a time once a day. Make sure not to overdose. Every medication has side effects. Lingling received the bottle from Dr. Jiang. Understood, I'll keep that in mind. Dr. Jiang turned back to look at Lingling. You can stop here. But Lingling continued walking with Dr. Jiang. Dr. Jiang, today my mom went to see Dr. Wang. But it seems the results weren't very good. I don't know if my mom will be able to find my sister in this lifetime. Dr. Jiang sighed. No wonder your mom seemed a bit off today. It's understandable considering she's worried. It's been so many years, but you never know. Life often surprises us. She might find her any day now. But on the other hand, if she can't find her, you're her only child now. Make sure to comfort her. Lingling nodded, accompanied Dr. Jiang to the edge of the road. Please be careful on the road, it's getting dark. I know. You should go back now. Dr. Jiang waved goodbye as she left. Chapter 642. Shangguan Furong was slapped _1. Zheng Lingling did not go back immediately, instead watching as Dr. Jiang's figure disappeared into the twilight. Dr. Jiang is about the same age as old lady Zheng, in her 60s this year. She has never married and currently lives alone. As soon as Zheng Lingling returned to the villa, old lady Zheng asked, Has your Aunt Jiang gone home? Zheng Lingling nodded. Old lady Zheng continued, Your Aunt Jiang lives alone, so if you have time, remember to take Xianjing to visit her. If it weren't for your Aunt Jiang bringing you home all those years ago, where would we niece and aunt have the chance to meet? Blink and over 30 years have passed, and your Aunt Jiang is old now. Again bringing up the past. This damn old woman just can't forget about those years. She has changed her tone and called her mother, but this damn old woman always remembers their relationship as aunt and niece. She never really considered her a daughter. All the filial piety over the years went down the drain. Zheng Lingling clenched her teeth in anger, but still had to put on a smile. All right, Mom. Old lady Zheng nodded. I'm going to my room first. Wuxia World. Site Wuxia World. Site. Mom, dinner is about to be served. Zheng Lingling said. Old lady Zheng said. You go ahead and eat. I've just had some ginseng soup, and am not hungry. Zheng Lingling anxiously said. How can you not eat dinner? Should I bring it up to you later? No need. Old lady Zheng waved her hand. On this October night, the stars in the sky were sparse and clear. Mr. Zheng stood on the third-floor terrace, looking up at the sky with his hands behind his back, his eyes showing an indescribable look. The terrace was designed as a sky garden, where Mr. Zheng typically enjoyed sitting in a lounge chair amidst bunches of flaming torches, and listening to the opera. Old lady Zheng walked up to Mr. Zheng and said in as light a tone as possible, What are you thinking about? I was thinking about our Tingting. Mr. Zheng's voice was very calm. Over 30 years have passed, I wonder how Tingting is doing now. Old lady Zheng reached out and held Mr. Zheng's hand. Tingting must be doing well. Mr. Zheng nodded. Zheng Xianjing came in from outside with a tray. Grandpa, Grandma, it's time to eat. The old couple wiped away their tears at the same time. Zheng Xianjing came over and placed the food on the table. Grandpa, Grandma, you should eat something. How can you not eat anything? Old lady Zheng nodded. Jinghua Village. After Yang and village chief Li discussed the road construction, Li called for a village meeting the next day. Everyone was very excited after hearing the news. The biggest issue in rural areas is the roads. Bad roads mean that vehicles cannot enter, which hinders development. Moreover, during rainy days, the dirt roads would become extremely muddy. This not only inconvenienced the elderly and children, but also leaves everyone covered with mud. Yang funding the road construction could be considered a great deed. Village chief, is this true? The others joined in the discussion as well. Village chief Li laughed. Matzi, look at what you're asking. Would I joke about something like this? This is fantastic. Yang is our village's little lucky star. What do you mean, little lucky star? She's a big lucky star. Village chiefly continued. Everyone quiet down. The thing is, since Yang is funding this, we can't be inconsiderate. My suggestion is that each household contributes labor if they can, and if they can't, they can provide meals. We can't let Yang bear all the work, labor, and expenses alone. Okay, I have no objections. I don't have any objections either. Village chiefly smiled. Since everyone agrees, then it is settled. Meeting adjourned. The next day, village chiefly brought in a construction team. Everyone with free time at home voluntarily came over to help. During the afternoon, they even took the initiative to bring snacks and tea to the construction team. When the surrounding villages found out that Jinghua village was building a road, they couldn't help but feel envious. Today is the 18th, the day the Shangguan family is coming to the Enai family for a visit and to acknowledge relations. To show their regard for the Shangguan family, and also to properly entertain them, Enai Tsuehua and Enai Yang moved to their new house a day earlier. Everything in the new house is new, with nothing to move. As long as people move in, that was all. And Enai Chingui lives next door, which makes sharing meals convenient. Mo Chishan came early in the morning. Today, Enai Chingui also took a special day off. Chapter 643. Shangguan Furong was slapped _2. Enai Tsuehua placed the breakfast on the table and said to Enai Yang, Yang, go and invite Grandma Lu over for breakfast. Usually, Grandma Lu lives alone. Today there were a lot of people around, so it would be a chance for her to mingle. All right. Enai Yang nodded. I'll go with you. Mo Chishan stood up to follow Enai Yang. Along the way, Mo Chishan curiously asked, Yang, who is Grandma Lu? Grandma Lu is a very kind old lady. She has no children and lives alone usually. While saying this, Enai Yang seemed to suddenly remember something and raised her wrist. Oh yes, this bracelet was given to me by Grandma Lu. Mo Chishan held Enai Yang's wrist and squinted at the bracelet. This bracelet? What about this bracelet? Enai Yang asked. Mo Chishan said, this bracelet seems to be from the Ming Dynasty. Ming Dynasty? Although Enai Yang knew this bracelet must be valuable, she never would have thought it was from the Ming Dynasty. Mo Chishan nodded slightly. This Grandma Lu must have been born into a wealthy family, right? Enai Yang continued. It is said that Grandma Lu was a landowner's daughter in the past. Later, due to wars, she fled here. As they were talking, they arrived at Grandma Liu's house before long. Wuxia World. Site Wuxia World. Site Grandma Lu was feeding ducks in the yard. Grandma Lu. Yang is here. Grandma Lu looked up with a beaming smile. Good day, Grandma Lu. Mo Chishan greeted politely. Although most villagers already knew Mo Chishan, Grandma Lu did not. She rarely went out and had been sick in bed for a while. Who is this young man? Grandma Lu looked at Mo Chishan curiously. Enai Yang said, Grandma Lu, this is my boyfriend Mo Chishan. Oh. Grandma Lu nodded repeatedly. Very good. The young man is really handsome. How old is he? 28. Mo Chishan answered. 28. Grandma Lu calculated. That's 10 years older than our Yang. It's good to be older. Older people know how to care for others. Where are you from, young man? Grandma Lu, you can just call me Xiaoma. I'm a local from Beijing. Good. Being a local is great. It's convenient to visit your parents' home when you're close by. After chatting with Grandma Lu for a while, Enai Yang explained why they came. Upon hearing this, Grandma Lu said, Well then, you two wait for me here. I'll go change my clothes. All right, Enai Yang nodded. In a short while, Grandma Lu had changed her clothes and came out. For today, Grandma Lu had put on a wine-red tang suit that she would only wear during the new year. Her silver hair was meticulously combed to the back of her head and held tightly with a silver hairpin. Her face may be full of wrinkles, but she carried an aura of a lady from a reputable family. Today is Enai Quihua's big day. Grandma Lu can't let her down. That's why she dressed up. Grandma Lu, you look beautiful. Enai Yang walked over and supported Grandma Liu's arm. Grandma Lu grinned and said, Not to brag, but I looked even better when I was young. Not only was Grandma Lu beautiful, but she was also very strong. Like the older people in the village, her feet had been bound when she was young. Normally, people with bound feet can't do heavy work. But she did everything. Soon, they arrived at the courtyard of the Enai family. Enai Tsuehua warmly offered Grandma Lu the seat of honor. Grandma Lu declined, already showing me, a lonely old woman, the courtesy of inviting me over, is more than enough respect. How could I sit in the seat of honor? In Chinese etiquette, the seat of honor is usually reserved for the elderly and respected members of the household. Since Grandma Lu was born into a wealthy family, she knew this well. Enai Tsuehua said with a smile, "You're our elder. It's appropriate for you to sit in the seat of honor. Apart from Sister Chengui, I don't have any other relatives in the village. I am counting on you and Sister Chengui to support me today." In all these years, no one has said such things to Grandma Lu. Grandma Lu was moved. Her grip tightened around Enai Quihua's hand. "Child, thank you. Thank you both for your kindness to this old woman." Jinghua village was unusually bustling today. There was a crowd gathered on the east side where the road was being repaired. On the west end of the village entrance, a group of elegantly dressed people were walking. They were chatting as they went along, clearly not ordinary villagers. Chapter 644. Shangguan Furong was slapped _3. A stranger in the village always garnered curiosity. Whose relative is this? Such an ostentatious entrance. I have no idea. Maybe they are relatives of Yang Yang's family. Seems like that to me. Looking at the curious villagers, a look of disdain crossed Shangguan Furong's face. Where there is poverty, there are peevish folks. Have they never seen a wealthy person before? Initially, Shangguan Furong had no intention of coming. Still, persuaded by the old lady Shangguan, she came. No matter what, Shangguan Dehui was her brother. She should save him face. Shangguan Furong is not an unreasonable person. But now, she regrets the decision terribly. Wuxia World. Sight Wuxia World. Sight looking at the village's low and humble earth houses, Shangguan Furong's disdain intensified. Which era are we living in that people still inhabit such homes? Does Enai Quihua's family also live in such houses? And the road is terrible. Cars can't even move on these rugged and potholed surfaces. Wearing high heels is an absolute torture, and it's excruciating. If Zhao Shen hadn't supported her, she would have stumbled countless times. Shangguan Furong, consumed with resentment, extends her hand to Zhao Shen. "I'm thirsty. Here some mineral water." Zhao Shen quickly hands her a bottle from his bag. Shangguan Furong didn't reach out to take it. Zhao Shen asked, puzzled, "What's the matter?" Shangguan Furong replied irritably, "Open it. Are you dead, man?" "Oh, I'll open it for you now." "Shangguan," cries the old lady. "All you know is how to bully Zhao Shen. Ask Zhao Shen if I bulldoze him," counters Shangguan Furong's. No, my mother, you misunderstand. Furong never bullies me." Zhao Shen responds instantly. The old lady Shangguan shakes her head helplessly. For Furong to marry Zhao Shen in this life, it must have been because she had accumulated a great deal of good karma in her previous life. Who else could tolerate her? The Zhao family are all honest people. Even Shangguan Furong's mother-in-law hardly dare say a harsh word to her. This was Shangguan Zai's first time in the countryside, and her eyebrows and eyes were filled with curiosity. The air in the countryside is so fresh. Wow. Is that sugar cane? Shangguan Su knocked Shangguan Shi on the head. That's corn. Shangguan Shi stared at Shangguan Su. So smart of you. I intentionally said sugar cane. I'm old enough. Don't I recognize crops? Shangguan Su shrugged. Yes, you know them all. Of course I recognize them. To prove she really did recognize the crops, Shangguan Shi hugged the old lady Shangguan's arm and pointed at a lush field. Grandma, look at those beautiful little cabbages. The old lady Shangguan laughed and replied, That's canola. Stupid. Shangguan Su flicked Shangguan Zai's forehead. Shangguan Shi moaned, touching her forehead. I didn't get it wrong. Canola is another name for little cabbage. This canola isn't the same as the one we usually eat. It blooms in spring and produces seeds that could be used to extract cooking oil. That's why it's called canola, explained the old lady Shangguan. You kids are really lucky. Not only do you not have to do anything, but now you can't even recognize crops. When I was your age, I had traveled all over the country. Although born in a noble and wealthy family, the old lady Shangguan had lived through a time of war and hardship. Feeling embarrassed, Shangguan she toyed with her hair and changed the subject. Dad, when will we finally get to Aunt Daya's place? Soon. Shangguan Dehui replied. When we round the next bend, we'll be there. Oh. In no time, they arrived at the gate of Enai Chenghui's quadrangle. Shangguan Dehui, unaware that Enai Quihua's family had moved to a new house, knocked on Enai Chenghui's gate. The obvious look of distaste on Shangguan Furong's face as she studied the somewhat old quadrangle was hard to ignore. This house is absolutely deteriorated. No wonder Enai Tsuehua is scheming to be with Shangguan Dehui. Most likely, she wants to turn into the proverbial phoenix? What on earth Shang Dehui saw in a woman like Enai Tsuehua was beyond Furong's comprehension. Creak. Instead of their gate, the door next to it opened. Enai Tsuehua stood at the door. Auntie, Sister Su Lian, Furong, Xiaoxiu, Xiaoxi, you all came coming quickly. Enai Tsuehua welcomed everyone inside her house. Chapter 645. Shangguan Furong was slapped _4. Upon entering the courtyard, one could immediately notice the vibrant life within it. The rose-covered wall, the swing beneath the grapevine, and a small, colorful goldfish pond. Although the pond wasn't large, it had a well-designed drainage system with an antique water wheel installed by its side. The ground of the courtyard was not cemented, but carpeted with sturdy grass with a path of pebbles laid into it instead. Clusters of vibrant, multicolored plums were blooming on either side of the path. It's so beautiful! Shangguan she exclaimed. Even Shangguan Furong was slightly taken aback. She originally thought that she would step into a dirty and messy farmhouse. But what she saw was a miniature version of Jiangnan. Madam Shangguan asked, Daya, did you have someone design this courtyard? Not only was the courtyard beautiful, but its layout was also very reasonable. Attention was even given to feng shui considerations. Enai Tsuehua said, No, it was Yang Yang who designed it herself. Before Madam Shangguan could respond, Shangguan Furong remarked, Well, Yang Yang from your family is really talented. She was already singing praises for Enai Yang even before she became part of the Shangguan family. Source webnovel.com. Updated on Omicron New Omicron. Zero Enai Yang's design? A little village girl like Enai Yang managed to design such a beautiful courtyard? What a ridiculous joke. She mustn't hurt her back making such big claims. Enai Tsuehua chuckled and responded, This child has been clever since she was young. This left Shangguan Furong speechless. She had never seen someone as shameless as Enai Tsuehua before. Didn't Enai Tsuehua realize that she was being sarcastic? Enai Tsuehua dared to take it seriously. She even went on about how smart Enai Yang was. Oh my God! Why did such people exist in this world? Madam Shangguan intervened. It's all due to your good parenting, Daya. Without a good mother to guide and teach, how could there be such an outstanding daughter? One could tell from Enai Quihua's behavior and demeanor that she was a very well-bred person. The group then entered the house together. The interior decoration was even more beautiful. The modern minimalist style was embellished with classical elements, perfectly combining a sense of the past and the present. The hand-painted plum blossoms on the wall seemed to be blooming in snow. Enai Tsuehua took the initiative to introduce everyone. Auntie, Sister Su Lian, Furong brother-in-law, Xiaoxiu Xiaoxi, let me introduce you. This is Auntie Lu. This is my sister Enai Chengui. Since Enai Yang called the older lady Granny Lu, Enai Tsuehua would have to address her as Auntie Lu to avoid confusion and seniority. Everyone greeted each other warmly. Enai Chengui observed everyone subtly. Madam Shangguan seemed very kind. Su Lian appeared savvy. Shangguan Furong appeared arrogant, as though she might be difficult to get along with. Zhao Shen looked like a pushover, judging by his demeanor. He would probably have no say at home. As for Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi, the children seemed flawless. They were beautiful and very polite. Overall, The members of the Shangguan family gave Anai Chingue a favorable impression. Just then Anai Yang and Emo Chishan descended from upstairs. Anai Tsuehua said, "Oh yes, this is Yang Yang's boyfriend Emo Chishan. You can just call him Xiaoma." Anai Tsuehua cheerfully introduced Emo Chishan to everyone while holding him by the hand. Boyfriend. Anai Yang even had a boyfriend now. Shangguan Su was momentarily stupefied. Emo Chishan respectfully greeted everyone. Everyone's expression became subtly uncomfortable at the sight of Emo Chishan. Emo Chishan, the man with the worst reputation in their high society circle. How did Anai Yang end up with Emo Chishan? Especially Shangguan Furong. Her disgust was almost visible in her eyes. If Anai Tsuehua married Shangguan Dehui, then Anai Yang would be considered her half-niece. How could her niece marry such a man? It was one thing for Anai Tsuehua to throw herself at Shangguan Dehui, but Shangguan Furong wouldn't tolerate anyone else tarnishing the reputation of the Shangguan family. Wouldn't she be ridiculed for being related to a wastrel like Emo Chishan by marriage? At that moment, Shangguan Furong was feeling absolutely frustrated. No way. She had to prevent this from happening. Either let Shangguan Dahui and Anai Tsuehua break up, or ensure Anai Yang and Emo Chishan broke up. Anai Yang couldn't be with a man like Emo Chishan. Shangguan Dahui, smiling, extended his hand to shake Emo Chishan's. "Xiaoma, do you remember me? I carried you in my arms when you were a child." Years ago, the Shangguan family and Emo family had some connections, but over time, their relationship faded. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 646, Shangguan Furong was slapped _5. Shangguan Dehui respected Anai Yang's views and did not interfere with her feelings. Because he knew that Anai Yang was a person with her own thoughts and ideas. Perhaps, Emo Chishan was not as unbearable as he appeared to be. Emo Chishan smiled and said, "Of course I remember." Looking at Emo Chishan, Grandma Shangguan thought for a long time and finally said, "Oh, you are the sixth one from the Emo family, right?" Emo Chishan nodded, "That's right, madam." Grandma Shangguan laughed. "I used to play mahjong with your mother, and she often mentioned you." Although Emo Chishan's reputation was not so good, he was handsome, vibrant, especially when standing next to Anai Yang. That was a pleasing sight. Grandma Shangguan had a very good first impression of Emo Chishan. Everyone used to say that the sixth one of the Emo family was a waste of space, but today's impression of him was very different from the rumors. Not only is he high-spirited, but also modest and courteous, gentle as jade, and definitely not useless. If such a person is considered useless, then there probably aren't many normal people in Beijing. Grandma Shangguan had seen countless people and would never misjudge someone. Source, webnovel.com, updated on Omicron New. And Anai Yang was so outstanding. Her judgment of people couldn't be that bad, could it? Shangguan Furong stood up and looked at Emo Chishan. "You are the Emo Chishan who was rejected by Jingrong." Shangguan Furong's aunt. Zhao Yeshu is Jingrong's aunt as well. Zhao Yeshu often talked about Emo Chishan in front of the Shangguan family. Emo Chishan was the embodiment of uselessness, a wastrel without any achievements or career. If any girl were to marry him, it would mean she was extremely unlucky. If the Zhao family knew that the person they didn't want was actually picked up by the Shangguan family, what would people think of the Shangguan family? Isn't this ridiculous? Zhao Shen's family and Jingrong also had some family connections. The more Shangguan Furong thought about it, the more her scalp tingled. These words were clearly intended to embarrass Emo Chishan. Emo Chishan was not upset and nodded, yes. He had heard countless sarcastic comments, so if he were to care about each one, he would probably have died of anger by now. It turns out Emo Chishan had such thick skin. He even had the nerve to nod. Did he think he was being honorable? Shangguan Furong smiled, knowing the answer but still asked, "I'm a very curious person. Why did Jingrong break off the engagement with you?" Grandma Shangguan immediately laughed to smooth things over. "Nowadays, young people are free to love. It's normal that they don't like the old style of arranged marriages. Unlike in our era, where men and women often got married without even having seen each other. At the same time, Grandma Shengguan gave Shengguan Furong a warning look. This child, she was becoming more and more tactless. Aunt Lu agreed. Big sister, you're right. It wasn't like this during our time. Shengguan Furong still didn't give up, but I'm still very curious about why. By any chance, did Jingrong look down on you? Furong. Grandma Shengguan frowned slightly. Zhao Shen carefully tugged at Shengguan Furong's sleeve, whispering, Furong, I think Mom seems angry. Shengguan Furong glared at Zhao Shen. Anai Yang walked over with a smile, curling her arm through Mo Kishin's. Why bother about the reason I like Brother Mo, and Brother Mo also likes me, so he broke off the engagement with Zhao Jingrong. Just as Shengguan Furong was about to say something else, Anai Yang interjected. Aunt Furong, do you know why Xiaoming's grandmother lived to the age of 103? Shengguan Furong asked subconsciously, why? Anai Yang said lightly, because Xiaoming's grandmother never interfered with others' affairs. I wish you also a long life. Anai Chengui almost laughed out loud. Even Shengguan, she wanted to applaud Anai Yang. What a great answer. In short life? Shengguan Furong was so angry that she almost passed out on the spot. This Anai Yang was completely ungrateful. Even after she showed her the true face of Mo Qixin, not only did she not show any gratitude, she even insulted her. She was absolutely without any manners. And yet, she couldn't think of any way to rebut this. Brother Mo, let's go to the kitchen and prepare the food. Anai Yang looked up at Mo Qixin. All right. Mo Qixin nodded. The two of them said goodbye to everyone, and headed towards the kitchen. Shengguan Su watched their retreating figures. He seemed to be in a daze. With Anai Yang's conditions, she could have found someone better. Why does it have to be Mo Qixin? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 647. Shengguan Furong was slapped _6. Moreover, it was evident that Anai Yang was very protective of Mo Qixin. Did Mo Qixin really possess some extraordinary qualities? Anai Yang and Mo Qixin went into the kitchen. Brother Mo, I'm sorry for making you feel embarrassed. Anai Yang gripped Mo Qixin's hand. Mo Qixin's thin lips parted slightly. So you're gonna comfort me? Should I hug you then? Anai Yang pulled Mo Qixin into a hug. Mo Qixin chuckled, patting her hair. Is this what you call an embarrassment? You're really not angry? Anai Yang looked up at Mo Qixin. Mo Qixin shook his head. There's no need to be angry over such a trivial matter. If he cared about his reputation, he wouldn't have become the person he is today. His current status allows him to see many things that can't be seen from a high position, like the human heart. Grandma Shengguan took an opportunity to pull Shengguan Furong into a corner, admonishing her harshly, and only then did Shengguan Furong finally calm down. Source: web novel. Calm. Updated on Omicron New. She stopped picking at things during lunch. Of course, it might also be because Anai Yang's cooking was too delicious. The dishes on the table were quite unusual, such as grilled fish, sour fish, boiled meat, hot pot, which were unfamiliar to everyone. Beijing people generally like spicy food, and this meal was perfectly to their taste. Shengguan, she was utterly amazed. Yang, the food you cook is really delicious. Even better than the pickled fish noodles and Kanto stew you sell in your restaurant. Absolutely. Grandma Shengguan also gave Anai Yang a thumbs up. Anai Yang's cooking skills were absolutely divine. Shengguan Furong looked up at Anai Yang. The food was very delicious. Anai Yang's face was pretty too. Beyond these two advantages, it seemed hard to find other advantages in Anai Yang. Considering her status in the circle, she could find someone better for Anai Yang than Mo Qixin. Shengguan Furong narrowed her eyes, plotting inside. After dinner, Shengguan Dehui and Anai Tsuehua took everyone to stroll around the village. Anai Yang and Mo Qixin stayed in the kitchen to wash the dishes. Only Anai Chengui and Grandma Shengguan remained in the house. Grandma Shengguan tactfully mentioned the wedding date of Anai Tsuehua and Shengguan Dehui to Anai Chengui. It wouldn't be right to talk about this matter directly with Anai Tsuehua. It was more appropriate to discuss it with Anai Chengui. Chengui, both of them are not young anymore. I was thinking if they can marry early, they should marry early. so as to avoid any additional troubles. If Daya is not willing to move to my place, it's fine for Dahui to accompany her here, as long as they visit me once a week. Grandma Shengguan was not the kind of person who wouldn't make a concession. Enai Tsuehua had lived here for a long time and was used to it. If she suddenly had to move to the Shengguan's house, she would definitely feel uncomfortable. After all, Shengguan Dahui used to live on campus, so there wouldn't be a problem if he stayed here with Enai Tsuehua after their marriage. Enai Chengui nodded. You're right, Grandma, but I can't decide this for Yang Yang's mother. How about this? Please leave your number, and I'll ask Enai Tsuehua and then confirm with you. How does that sound? All right, I'll leave it to you then. Grandma Shengguan continued. Once things are settled on your end, I'll arrange for the matchmaker to come. Although it was a second marriage, the formalities wouldn't have to be neglected. Okay. Enai Chengui nodded. She had to admit, Grandma Shengguan was quite considerate. They returned to Beijing in the evening. Shengguan Furong said, I don't agree with Enai Yang being with Mo Qishan. You don't agree? What gives you the right to decide? Grandma Shengguan looked at Shengguan Furong unhappily. Is it up to you now? Shengguan Dihui's face also didn't look too pleased. Shengguan Furong's performance in the Enai family's house in the morning had made him lose face in front of Enai Tsuehua. Fortunately, Mo Qishan was magnanimous and didn't pay her any mind. Mom, I'm doing this for the sake of the Shengguan family. Shengguan Furong continued. You allowed my brother to be with Daya, that's fine. But now you're letting Daya's daughter be with Mo Qishan. Isn't this a disgrace to our family? Auntie Zhao has said all those things about Mo Qishan in front of us, and it's not like you weren't aware. Why should we take someone that Zhao Jingrong doesn't want for the Shengguan family? Even if Grandma Shengguan could ignore the shame, she still had to save face. Enai Yang's surname is Enai, not Shengguan. Shengguan Dahui spoke out coldly. Are you insisting on meddling in other people's affairs? Shengguan Furong turned to look at Shengguan Dahui shocked. Daya is about to marry you. Isn't Enai Yang supposed to change her surname? Do you mean to let the Shengguan family support them while they keep the Enai surname? This is unacceptable. I disagree. If someone marries into the family, they follow the family. Now that Enai Tsuehua is about to marry into the Shengguan family, she would belong to the Shengguan family. As Enai Quihua's daughter, Enai Yang naturally couldn't continue to bear Enai Quihua's surname. If Enai Yang continued to bear the Enai surname, what would this mean? You don't have the right to disagree, said Shengguan Dahui. Enai Yang is capable of supporting herself. She is far more excellent than you can imagine. Shengguan Furong huffed. Isn't she just a noodle vendor? What's so great about that? Brother, you're just a typical case of a man forgetting his sister after getting a wife. I share a blood connection with you. Yet now you're willing to turn against me for a stranger? I only have your best interests at heart. Daya is nothing but a seductress. She doesn't deserve to set foot in our home. Here, Shengguan Furong paused before continuing. I'm laying down the rules today. Either you break up with Daya, or Enai Yang ends things with Mo Qishan. Otherwise, Daya won't be allowed into the Shengguan family's house. Also, Enai Yang must change her surname. She doesn't have the right to bear the Enai surname any longer. Shut up. Overwhelmed, Shengguan Dahui finally gave her a slap. After that slap, the car fell silent. Shengguan Furong covered her face, looking at Shengguan Dahui incredulously. You hit me? You actually hit me? Zhaoshan finally reacted and cried anxiously. Furong, are you okay? Does it hurt? Shengguan Furong angrily pushed Zhaoshan's hand away. Shengguan Dahui. How dare you hit me? Shengguan Dahui had never hit her before. But today she had been slapped by Shengguan Dahui. In front of everyone. Even teenagers like Shengguan Su and Shengguan Shi were present. And also Su Lian, who had always been at odds with her. How was she supposed to carry herself now? Was this how Shengguan Dahui was going to treat her? Well slapped. Grandma Shengguan spoke coldly. If you weren't slapped, you would never understand your place. You may arrogantly throw your weight around in the Zhao family, where people accommodate your behavior, but not in the Shengguan family. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 648. When did you become so close with her? _1 Shangguan Furong was so angry that her whole body was trembling, her left cheek covered by her hand, tears falling like cut strings of pearls. Shangguan Dehui had hit her, and it was bad enough that the elder Mrs. Shangguan hadn't defended her, but even worse, she had poured oil on the flames, blaming Shangguan Furong instead. In her mind, she was only doing all of this for the good of the Shangguan family. Would she ever even say a word if she didn't carry the Shangguan name? Now she has become the villain. Do you think I wanted to meddle in everything? Everything I've done for the Shangguan family. Matriarch Shangguan cast a glance at Shangguan Furong. I will tell you once again, the affairs of the Shangguan family do not need your intervention. What was supposed to have been a happy occasion was wrecked into a complete mess by Shangguan Furong. The atmosphere inside the carriage was heavy with tension. Once they stepped out of the carriage, Shangguan Shi set out to comfort Shangguan Furong. Aunt, don't be angry. My father was too impulsive today, he didn't mean to hurt you. Actually, it was the first time Shangguan Shi had ever seen Shangguan Dehui explode with such anger. The Shangguan Dehui in his memories has always been gentle and cultured. He had never even erupted in anger in front of others. That moment had startled even Shangguan Shi. Truly, a beautiful face brings disaster, said Shangguan Furong. For this, I don't blame your father. Blame should fall on Daya. If not for her, your father would have never treated me like this. Source: web novel. Com. Updated on new. Since she was a child, Shangguan Dehui had always doted on her. Had never spoken harshly to her. Shangguan Shi continued. Aunt, it's not Aunt Daya's fault. I've observed her closely. Aunt Daya is a very reasonable person, she. Before Shangguan Shi had finished, Shangguan Furong interrupted. Xiaoxi, by the tone of your voice, am I the one to blame for all this? Daya hadn't even married into the Shangguan family yet, and she was already being treated as an outsider. If Daya were to marry into the Shangguan family, would her voice not even matter anymore? Aunt, that's not what I meant. Shangguan Shi chose his words carefully, afraid of upsetting Shangguan Furong if he misspoke. I think you may be misunderstanding Aunt Daya. Shangguan Furong remained silent, her face cold. Shangguan Shi was still a child, she could let it slide with him. But she would definitely hold Anai Tsuehua accountable for all that had happened. So, you also believe Anai Yang need not change her surname? Shangguan Furong asked. Aunt. Shangguan Shi continued. Anai Yang is an individual in her own right. She belongs to herself and no one else. Furthermore, she's of age now. Whether she wants to change her surname or not, we can't force her. It should be her own decision. Besides, Aunt Daya raised her single-handedly since she was little. The Shangguan family has never paid for any of her upbringing. Isn't it unreasonable to force Anai Yang to change her surname? Shangguan Shi, like his father, was known for being reasonable. Everyone is siding with her. Shangguan Shi said. Aunt, perhaps you can try putting yourself in their shoes. If it were you, would you be willing to have your daughter, whom you've raised painstakingly for 18 years, change her surname? Xiaoxi, what are you trying to say? Shangguan Furong was shocked. Are you cursing your own aunt for the sake of an outsider? That was just too much. Now it seems no one from the Shangguan family even cared for her anymore. No, Shangguan Shi hurried to explain. Aunt, I was merely making a comparison. Shangguan Furong took a deep breath. Fine. Let's leave this matter aside for the moment. Let's talk about Anai Yang's personal affairs. Everybody is well aware of who Mo Qishan is. Daya is going to marry into the Shangguan family, and if her daughter is with Mo Qishan, wouldn't that reflect poorly on the Shangguan family? Mo Qishan was nothing more than a failure. What qualifications did he have to be a son-in-law of the Shangguan family? The mere thought of it gave Shangguan Furong a headache. Shangguan, she said. Aunt, I believe we don't need to meddle in this affair, do we? After all, it's Anai Yang's personal business. Freedom of love is granted in today's society. She can be with whoever she likes. Everyone ought to mind their own business. Meddling too much would only lead to unnecessary troubles. Shangguan Furong was seething with anger. No one understood her. They made her feel as if she was a nosy person. But it is our family's reputation at stake. Sheng Guanxi didn't know how to comfort Sheng Guanfeng anymore. Her thoughts were too extreme. Aunt, Sheng Guanxi tried to soften his voice. I think Mo Qishan isn't as bad as people say. Think about it. If he were truly useless, would he behave so gracefully? I think there is a misunderstanding about him in the outside world. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 649. When did you become so close with her? If Mo Qishan is really a waste, then there wouldn't be any normal people in the world. Sheng Guanfeng felt that she couldn't communicate with Sheng Guanxi anymore. She snorted coldly. If he's not a waste, would Zhao Jingrong have broken off the engagement with him? The Sheng Guan family's status in the circle is not lower than the Zhao family's. Why would they want someone that even the Zhao family has discarded? The Sheng Guan family aren't a garbage recycling service. Maybe Zhao Jingrong was just mistaken, Sheng Guanxi reasoned. A waste is a waste. Zhao Jingrong, returned from studying abroad in M country, would she be mistaken? Only a naive country girl like Inai Yang would think she's struck gold. She doesn't even mind the shame. Sheng Guanxi let out a small sigh, held Sheng Guanfeng's arm, and said, Aunt Inai Yang is an outstanding girl. She's no worse than Zhao Jingrong. You don't need to think about it that much. Sheng Guanfeng's eyes were full of mockery. A country girl wants to compete with a person who studied abroad. Xiaoxi, you must be out of your mind. Sheng Guanxi was silent. She felt like she really couldn't communicate with Sheng Guanfeng. In psychology, what was this called? Midlife crisis? Source web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New. But the age for midlife crisis is around 45 to 60 for women. Sheng Guanfeng is only in her 30s this year. Claiming she's undergoing a midlife crisis wouldn't fit in terms of her age. The aunt and niece walked ahead, while Zhao Shen followed behind. After sending Sheng Guanfeng home and comforting her a bit, Zhao Shen returned to the car. The old Mrs. Sheng Guan asked, How's your aunt? Sheng Guanfeng is her only daughter, pampered since a child, with strong and proud personality. The old Mrs. Sheng Guan was afraid that she might do something desperate. Sheng Guanxi said, I think she should be fine. The old Mrs. Sheng Guan sighed lightly. It's my fault for not educating her well since childhood. She's got such a bad temper. Grandma, don't worry too much, comforted Sheng Guanxi. My aunt has always been like this, but she's not a bad person, just ignore her. At times like this, Sheng Guanxi could only comfort both parties. The old Mrs. Sheng Guan nodded, turned to Su Lian. Sister Lian, I'm sorry for the embarrassment. Su Lian said, Every family has its own problems. Don't think too much about it. The old Mrs. Sheng Guan continued. If only Ferong was half as sensible as you, I wouldn't have to worry so much. The old Mrs. Sheng Guan was truly grateful to Su Lian. Su Fen had a difficult delivery. Sheng Guansu and Sheng Guanxi were twins, born with a particularly weak constitution. At that time, Su Lian's child had just turned 8 months old, and she had abundant breast milk. Sheng Guansu and Sheng Guanxi were nursed by Su Lian. Although Su Lian was just an aunt for Sheng Guansu and Sheng Guanxi, it was no different from a biological mother. That's why Sheng Guandehui respects Su Lian so much. Zhao family. After Sheng Guanfeng returned home, the more she thought about it, the more upset she became, and she found everything disagreeable. Zhao Shen was standing nervously to one side, afraid of being implicated. Seeing that her daughter-in-law was in a bad mood, Mrs. Zhao carefully brought over a plate of cut fruits. Ferong, these fruits were just delivered by Uncle Lin today. They're fresh and sweet. Eating more can also help dispel your body heat. At those words, Sheng Guanfeng became even angrier. Mom, what are you implying? Do I look angry to you? Are you here to laugh at me because my brother hit me? She was bullied by both her parental and marital families. How unlucky could she be? Mrs. Zhao explained. Ferong, you're misunderstanding. I didn't mean it that way. I just thought that you. Sheng Guanfeng turned to look at Mrs. Zhao and interrupted her. Then what did you mean? I think you did it on purpose. Ferong, don't be angry. It's all my fault. If you don't want to eat, I'll take the fruit away. Mrs. Zhao reached out to take the fruit plate. The daughter-in-law was so bad-tempered. Mrs. Zhao had no choice but to endure. After all, she was getting old, and even if she was wronged, she wouldn't be wronged for too many days. Poor Zhao Shun. He would have to suffer for a lifetime. Mrs. Zhao sighed inwardly. Enough is enough. Shangguan Furong frowned and said, Mom, go back to your room and rest. What are you doing causing a ruckus here? Don't I look distraught enough to you? The old woman is truly annoying. She just knows how to create trouble. Mrs. Zhao then said, Then I'll go out for a walk. Shangguan Furong said impatiently, Just go. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 650. When did you become so close with her? _3. As soon as she finished speaking, Shangguan Furong glared at Zhao Shen. You go away too. Standing here like a nail. It's so annoying. If it were another man whose wife got hit, he would definitely fight back immediately. But Zhao Shen, he doesn't even dare to fart. Just like a waste. All right, Zhao Shen nodded and responded, following old lady Zhao out of the room. As the mother and son left the room, old lady Zhao sighed. Shen Bao, when will you be able to stand up for yourself? Mom, Furong's temper is a bit strong, but her heart is kind, Zhao Shen said, helping old lady Zhao down the stairs. She hasn't mistreated you, nor did she keep you deprived. Old lady Zhao helplessly shook her head. Isn't a bad temper a flaw? In all of Beijing, which daughter-in-law would arbitrarily command her mother-in-law? Old lady Zhao has worked all her life for the Zhao family, only to have to rely on others in the end, and put up with Shangguan Furong's changing moods every day. What sort of deal is that? From the dark, a shadow hid behind the green plants, quietly listening to the mother and son's conversation. Source: web novel. Com updated on Omicron. Old lady Zhao continued. Shen Bao, isn't equality between men and women being emphasized now? When can our family have this equality? Mom, let it go, Zhao Shen said. It's fine as it is. Why stir up trouble in the family? Old lady Zhao sighed. Shen Bao, I ache for you. The most important thing between husband and wife is respect. Where else would a husband get punished and slapped by his wife at the drop of a hat? Think about it, hasn't Shangguan Furong bullied you enough? I think you should learn from Dahui. If that doesn't work, seize power with force. She didn't expect Shangguan Furong to be virtuous. She only wished Shangguan Furong could temper her strong nature. Have Zhao Shen suffer less and make their home feel more like a home. Zhao Shen replied, Mom, I know you care about me. But Furong is just like that. Even her own mother can't do anything about her. What can I do? It doesn't matter. That's how I've been living my life anyway. Zhao Shen once complained to old lady Shangguan. Old lady Shangguan reprimanded Shangguan Furong, but in the end, it was useless and even led Shangguan Furong to become more unruly. After that, Zhao Shen didn't dare to complain easily anymore. Old lady Zhao waved her hand. Forget it, I also didn't have hope that you could actually resist. As mother and son moved further away, the dim street light cast long shadows of the two, and a dark green leaf fell on the ground. Shangguan Furong sat on the sofa, watching her own face in the mirror. Dahui was brutal. There was a clear handprint visible on her left cheek. Just then, the butler walked in from outside. Madam! What's the matter? Shangguan Furong looked up at the butler with annoyance. The butler swallowed and said, Comrade Lin Fong is here. Don't see her. Shangguan Furong uttered angrily. Tell her to go home. All right, the butler nodded, turned around and walked towards the door. Lin Fong was carrying a gift. When she saw that the butler had come out, she immediately went up to him. How is it, Butler Lin, has Madame Zhao agreed to let me in? The butler shook his head and regretfully said, Madam isn't in a good mood today, you should come back another day. All right then. Since Shangguan Furong would not see her, she had to leave. As she turned to walk away, Lin Fong turned around and asked, Butler Lin, we both have the surname Lin, maybe 100 years ago we were from the same family. You know why I came today, do you have any news on this? Butler Lin looked back at the room, then to the outside, and in a lowered voice said, Comrade Lin Fong, I suggest you give up on the Shangguan family. I heard from Madam that the Shangguan family has found an old flame. They have met and are now discussing the wedding date. Lin Fang's heart skipped a beat. She was extremely distressed. Originally, the position of Shangguan's matron was hers, and now it's been stolen by others. Fortunately, she now had a new goal in mind. Lin Fang sighed. All right, I understand, thank you. You're welcome. After learning this news, Lin Fang with her gifts made her way back. The Enai family. After the Shangguan family left, Enai Chinggui helped Enai Tsuehua tidy up the dishes in the kitchen. Enai Chinggui said, Yang Yang's mother, I think Dehui Shangguan's family is quite nice. The old lady is kind, and her children are obedient. When do you plan to settle things with him? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 651. When did you become so close with her? _4. Even though Shangguan Furong was a bit of a handful, she was, after all, a married woman, living away from the Shangguan family. Therefore, she wouldn't have much impact on Enai Tsuehua and Shangguan Dihui's lives. Enai Tsuehua was stunned for a moment, then said, There's no rush with this matter. What's there to rush? You two are nearly 40 and 50 years old respectively. Enai Tsuehua continued. We are both remarrying and we want the wedding to be simple. All we need to do is get a certificate from the Civil Affairs Bureau. There's nothing much to prepare for. She had everything she wanted, and was already very content. How could that be acceptable? When we got married back then, all we needed was a red cloth and a red gown. But times have changed. Now the wealthy are getting married in wedding dresses looking stunning. Yang Yang's mom, now that you have the means, you definitely should wear a wedding dress at least once. Wedding dresses were not yet popular in the countryside of the 1980s. But in the city, everyone was wearing them. Wedding dresses had become a popular trend. Enai Tsuehua laughed and said, They are for the younger ones. I am not so young anymore. Enai Chinggui replied, What does it have to do with age? If you have the means, why not wear it? If you don't wear one now, you will surely regret it later when you are older. He then added, Yang Yang's mom, seriously, when exactly are you and Shangguan planning on holding the wedding? Madam Shangguan is waiting for a response. Enai Tsuehua considered for a moment, then said, Perhaps we'll hold it in early spring after the Chinese New Year. At this time of the year, Enai Yang was quite busy. Little Enai Yin was still small, and Enai Tsuehua wanted to spend more time with Shangguan Dahui before the wedding. Having experienced a failed marriage once, Enai Tsuehua was somewhat fearful of the term marriage. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New. Hearing this, Enai Chinggui was relieved. Actually, the people of Shangguan family, including Shangguan Dihui's sister-in-law Su Lian, are all very nice. It's just that Shangguan Furong is a bit off. You know the old saying, eldest sister-in-law is just like a mother-in-law, youngest sister-in-law is like a noisy gong. Be careful with her when you live with Shangguan Dahui. Eldest sister-in-law is just like a mother-in-law, youngest sister-in-law is like a noisy gong. This is a folk proverb. It means that the eldest sister-in-law tends to meddle in her husband's family affairs, while the youngest sister-in-law is prone to making trouble. Clearly, Shangguan Furong was no good at all. Enai Tsuehua chuckled. I won't be living with her anyway, so what's there to worry about? Enai Chinggui said. The fear is that she will be nosy and stir up trouble. It doesn't hurt to be cautious. You wouldn't want to regret it later if you end up being taken advantage of. Enai Tsuehua nodded. Enai Chinggui continued. Your future mother-in-law is indeed a good person. She told me today that she agrees to let Shangguan Dahui live with you after the wedding. It was rare for a mother-in-law to agree to let her son live in her daughter-in-law's house. This arrangement was hardly different from having a stay-at-home son-in-law. Really? Enai Tsuehua was somewhat surprised. She was actually quite fearful of living in a large mansion of a wealthy family. Absolutely. Enai Chinggui replied. Madam Shangguan told me herself. But there is one condition. She hopes you two can visit her once a week. Enai Tsuehua nodded. That would only be right. After hearing this, and Ai Tsuehua felt much more relieved. As the night deepened, Ai Yang saw Emochishin off at the edge of the village. The nights in October were rather crisp. The moonlight cast a silvery sheen on everything. By the time they arrived at the outskirts of the village, the car hadn't arrived yet. Emochishin held Ai Yang's hand. Yang, Ai Yang looked up at him, her long lashes casting dense shadows on her eyelids. Emochishin continued. When are your mom and Uncle Shangguan planning on holding their wedding? Ai Yang was taken aback. She didn't expect Emochishin to ask this question. She thought that Emochishin would have some reservations about the Shangguan family to some extent. During dinner, although Shangguan Furong didn't openly ridicule Emochishin anymore, she didn't show him a friendly face either. I'm asking you a question. Emochishin pinched her face a bit. Ai Yang replied. Older brother Emo, aren't you even a little bothered by Aunt Furong's attitude? Why would I care about what she does? Emochishin replied. She is her, and Uncle Shangguan is Uncle Shangguan. At the very least, the rest of the people from the Shangguan family are very polite. Ai Yang nodded. Older brother Emo, you're right. You haven't answered my question yet. Emochishin continued. Ai Yang gave a slight smile. I'm not sure about that either. I don't know what my mom and Uncle Shangguan have planned. She had no objections, no matter when the wedding was held. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 652. When did you become so close with her? _5. Emochishin looked up at the bright moon and said, I hope they can get married soon. Why? Ai Yang was somewhat puzzled. Because then we can be together sooner. Emochishin lowered his head and unexpectedly kissed her red lips. The temperature at the corners of his mouth was slightly cool, his lips as thin as paper as though he was kissing an ice cube. Ai Yang pushed him away, laughing and leaving a row of teeth marks on his lips. Shameless, who wants to be with you sooner? You haven't passed the probation period yet. Boss, isn't it unfair? Emochishin said, feeling aggrieved. It's been a long time. Why haven't I passed the probation period? Ai Yang quirked an eyebrow. You dare to question the words of your superior? I dare not. Emochishin surrendered. Whatever you say is right, boss. Ai Yang laughed lightly, nodding and said, That sounds more like it. All thanks to you, boss. Ai Yang smiled faintly, her lips curling in a shallow dimple. The moonlight shone a layer of soft glow on her body. The gentle breeze blew her long hair. And she seemed like an immortal who had descended from the moon. One couldn't help but want to kiss her. Emochishin stepped forward, extended a finger to gently lift her chin. His lips parted slightly. Boss, shouldn't you reward me since I am such an obedient person? His nose was only 0.1 millimeters from hers. Source, web novel. Com, updated on N0 New. The cold moonlight penetrated from the side, illuminating both of them, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. He is such a great charmer. Ai Yang looked at him quietly. Even for someone like her who had returned from the future, she found it difficult to resist Emochishin's sweet words. Such beauty is fatal to man. Their thin lips drew closer, their noses touching. Just at that moment, a harsh white light shone from a distance, followed by the sound of a car engine. Ai Yang quickly pushed Emochishin away, tidied up her hair, and behaved as if nothing had happened. Emochishin, caught off guard, nearly stumbled. Looking at the origin of the white light, his face turned as black as coal. The car was getting closer and closer. Wu Daming, who was in the driver's seat, got quite a scare seeing Emochishin in such a state. Oh shit. How terrifying. Who had the guts to upset Emochishin? Was it Ai Yang? Did they have a falling out? Looking at Ai Yang, she seemed just as usual. What on earth is going on? Wu Daming parked the car and got out with a goofy grin on his face. Good evening to brother 6 and sister-in-law. Good evening. Ai Yang's tone was indifferent. Emochishin's entire face screamed unhappiness. He had learnt about the French kiss from a book yesterday, but hadn't had the opportunity to put it into practice. Finally, when there was a perfect chance. 6 brother, what's wrong? When Wu Daming walked up to Mo Qishan, he asked, "Are you feeling unwell?" Mo Qishan forced a smile. "I'm fine, I'm very well." Wu Daming scratched his head innocently. "Oh, it's good if you're fine, brother 6. Let's go back then." "Okay." Mo Qishan nodded. "I'll go back first then, see you, big brother Mo." Anayang waved at Mo Qishan. Mo Qishan then said, "Light the way for your sister-in-law with the headlights." "Okay." Wu Daming nodded, ran to the car, switched on the headlights, illuminating the road in front of him as bright as day. Watching Anayang's figure disappear by the roadside, Mo Qishan then got in the car. He took out a cigarette from his pocket, held it between his thin lips and said, "Daming." Wu Daming responded and turned his head. "What's up, brother 6? Mo Qishan continued. "There have been a few minor issues with the engineering department in F continent. You will go on my behalf to take a look. Along the way, take charge of supervising the work. In 2 months, I will arrange for someone suitable to take over your job." F continent? Upon hearing this word, Wu Daming's brows furrowed deeply. The sun in F continent is scorching, the weather hot and conditions harsh. Spending a day there would peel off a layer of skin. If he stays for 2 months, he would be so sunburnt that even his mother won't recognize him when he returns. He hasn't even gotten married yet. Wu Daming was almost in tears. "6 brother, what did I do wrong?" Mo Qishan took a drag from his cigarette. "You didn't do anything wrong. You are just too outstanding, too excellent." "What?" Wu Daming was stunned. Was Mo Qishan praising him? "There's no one else but you who can handle this job around me. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 653. When did you become so close with her? _6. Really? Truly? Wu Daming asked in surprise. Mo Qishan gave a slight nod. "Of course. 6 brother, you're the best," Wu Daming said confidently. "Don't worry, I won't let you down." I believe you." Naive Wu Daming didn't realize he was being schemed by Mo Qishan. He packed up his things the very next day and happily boarded the plane to the M continent. With time, the business of the Color of Heaven and Earth restaurant kept booming. Due to the expensive dishes, there weren't people waiting in line every day, but it was always full house. Besides, more than 30 of the 50 membership cards had been successfully sold. Now it was the first choice for high-end banquets. Not only did the Color of Heaven restaurant have a good environment and service, but the food was also excellent, far superior to other restaurants. Mr. Wang this way, Sheng Guansu led a few middle-aged men in suits inside. Among them, there were a few foreign men. "Welcome, gentlemen. Please come in," the greeter greeted warmly from inside. Source: web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New. As soon as they stepped inside, they were dazzled. Nobody expected the interior decoration of the restaurant to be so stunning. It exuded an ancient charm everywhere. It gave an illusion of stepping back in time. The man referred to as Mr. Wang exclaimed, "When did such a restaurant open in Beijing? I had no idea." The foreign men also gasped in astonishment. This restaurant was simply too stunning. This expression arose spontaneously, without any embellishment. Sheng Guansu said, "Given that you're not often in the country, it's normal not to know." Mr. Wang turned to Sheng Guansu asking, "Who's the owner of this restaurant?" "Someone capable of opening this kind of restaurant in Beijing. Must be an influential figure. It seems there is going to be a shift in power in Beijing. Who exactly was this rising star?" Sheng Guansu shook his head. "I'm not quite sure." Mr. Wang was amazed. "Is there something you don't know?" As the head of the party, if a restaurant loan application is made, it has to be reviewed by Sheng Guansu. Could it be that this rising star didn't apply for a loan at all? There were many families in Beijing who could open restaurants without loans, but they wouldn't be low-key. Sheng Guansu nodded. "Indeed, it's a shame." Actually, Sheng Guansu was also very curious. Who was this genius who could create such a restaurant and provide such service? One could say that once you've visited this restaurant, you would lose interest in others. Mr. Wang continued. "Who ran this restaurant before?" Chun Jitsong, Sheng Guansu answered. Mr. Wang thought for a moment, then said, the young heir of the Chun family? Yes, Sheng Guansu nodded. Mr. Wang smiled. It turned out that this heir of the Chun family studied hotel management abroad, but he was defeated by a nameless individual. Sheng Guansu commented, one should not equate theoretical knowledge with practice. No matter how well you study, it's ultimately just book knowledge. Mr. Wang nodded. You're right. With that, Mr. Wang was even more curious about the mysterious rising star. While they were chatting, they kept walking inside. Please, gentlemen, take a seat over here. A waiter dressed in Han clothing led them to a booth with lanterns. Sheng Guansu said, we're here to discuss business. It might not be convenient downstairs. Can we go upstairs? I'm sorry, sir, but the private rooms on the second floor are fully booked, replied the waiter. What about the third floor? Sheng Guansu asked next. The upstairs is exclusively for VIP customers. The waiter then explained the procedure to become a VIP customer to Sheng Guansu and the others. This was Sheng Guanzu's second visit to the restaurant, and it was the first time he had heard about the VIP system. This VIP system sounded quite fresh, but the membership fees were relatively high. A card cost more than 800 yuan, and there was a minimum spending requirement each month. Mr. Wang nodded. This owner is interesting. After obtaining a membership, Sheng Guansu and his party proceeded to the third floor. The third floor was like a hidden paradise, presenting a visual feast. Mr. Wang commented, the over 800 yuan is worth it. Waiter, please sign me up for a membership card. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 654. When did you become so close with her? _7 In just a short time, 2 membership cards were successfully sold. When the ordered dishes were served, everyone was too preoccupied with eating to even discuss business matters. Because the taste was simply too incredible. Furthermore, the dishes were a feast for the eyes, nose, and tongue. Mr. Wang remarked, the food I had at the state banquet in Q country doesn't even compare to this. Initially, they thought that this restaurant with its great service and beautiful decor would probably only have mediocre food. To their surprise, the dishes were astonishingly delicious. Even a simple dish like vegetable tofu soup had a unique taste. The flavors lingered on their tongues. The foreign guests almost wished they could swallow their tongues along with the food. After the meal, there were exquisite desserts. Normally, men did not care much for desserts. However, today a small piece of tiramisu had them bending over backward. It was simply too delicious, wasn't it? The group had arrived at 11 in the morning. After dining and discussing business, they didn't leave until 4 in the afternoon. Source web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New 0. Omicron. Mr. Wang. Well, consider the cooperation matter settled then. Yes. Mr. Wang handshake with Sheng Guansu. They continued their conversation as they headed downstairs. While descending the stairs, Sheng Guansu suddenly spotted a familiar figure. Brother! Enai approached to greet him. Since the relationship between Sheng Guandehui and Enai Tsuehua had been confirmed, Enai had also started calling him brother. Seeing Sheng Guansu here, of course, she would take the initiative to say hello. Yang. Sheng Guansu nodded, turned to Mr. Wang and introduced, this is my sister Enai. Yang, this is Mr. Wang. Nice to meet you, Mr. Wang. In the catering business, etiquette is paramount, so Enai extended her right hand first. Hello. Mr. Wang looked at Sheng Guansu in surprise. I didn't expect you to have such a beautiful sister. Mr. Wang knew that Sheng Guansu had a twin sister named Sheng Guanxi, whom he had met before. Although Sheng Guanxi was also pretty, she was not as stunning as the girl in front of him now. Since Enai Yang's surname was Enai, she certainly wasn't his biological sister. Sheng Guansu modestly replied, Mr. Wang, you flatter her. Enai added, Brother, I have some things to do, so I won't disturb you. All right. Sheng Guansu nodded. Enai politely nodded to the group and continued to the third floor. The third floor was designated for VIP customers. Could it be that Anai Yang was also a VIP customer here? Shang Guansu contemplated. Anai Yang ran 4 milk tea shops and noodle restaurants, totaling 8 stores, and their monthly profits were unimaginable. Being a VIP client of this restaurant was perfectly normal. Actually, Anai Yang was here to check the accounts. The office was conveniently located at the far end of the 3rd floor. Mr. Wang was a highly influential person in their circle. The people accompanying him today were also not ordinary. After their glowing recommendations, the restaurant became quickly popular in their circle. The remaining membership cards were all sold within a day, and the 2nd floor private rooms even had to be booked 2 days in advance. In a short time, the restaurant made quite a stir in the industry. Many people were itching to try, wishing to emulate their success. Since she injured her face, Shangguan Furong had not left the house for 3 days. Only after the marks on her face had completely disappeared, she arranged to meet Jia Zhenjin and other wealthy housewives for a game of mahjong and afternoon tea. Just as Shangguan Furong left in her carriage, Lin Fong arrived. It was the butler who received Lin Fong as usual. "Comrade Lin Fong, your timing is quite unlucky. The lady of the house just left," he said. Lin Fong replied, regret written all over her face. "Ah, really? When will Mrs. Zhao be back?" The butler shook his head. "I'm not entirely sure." "Who is it?" Madame Zhao emerged from inside the house. The butler answered, "Madam, this is the lady of the house's friend, Comrade Lin Fong." Lin Fong said with a smile, "Hello, madam." "Oh, Xiaolin, do come in and have a seat." Madame Zhao invited Lin Fong inside warmly. "All right," Lin Fong nodded, following Madame Zhao into the house. The butler was puzzled. Since when did Lin Fong and Madame Zhao become so familiar? Meanwhile, Shangguan Furong was busy playing mahjong with a few wealthy ladies. She had lost several rounds consecutively. On top of that, one was boasting about her newly purchased anti-aging cream with skin rejuvenating properties, and another was showing off her new acquisitions. Shangguan Furong was so irritated that she nearly overturned the mahjong table. "What's going on with you today, Furong? Your luck is so bad. Are you bothered by something?" Jia Zhenjin asked. Shangguan Furong drew a mahjong tile. "I have been dealing with a troublesome matter recently." "What is it? Do tell." Jia Zhenjin was extremely curious. It was well known that Shangguan Furong held a high status in her home. Neither her mother-in-law at the top nor her husband at the bottom dared to upset her. And now she was having troubles? It was unheard of. Just unbelievable. East wind. Another wealthy lady tossed a mahjong tile into the river and added, "Exactly, do tell us. Perhaps we might be able to help." These people, they're not really interested in helping her. All they're waiting for is a good laugh. Shangguan Furong calmly eyed each person and continued, "Actually, it's not my problem. This issue involves my friend's daughter. She's quite rebellious. At the tender age of 18 or 19, she's already dating and looking to settle down. What's more, the guy she's with has a notorious reputation." Shangguan Furong cleverly turned Anai Yang into her friend's daughter. Jia Zhenjin commented, "Having a clueless daughter is really unfortunate for your friend." The others agreed. When stuck with such a clueless daughter, there's nothing to do but accept your fate. "Actually, I have a solution." The wealthy lady with curled hair spread her mahjong tiles on the table. "I made a flower upon a Kong, I've won. Pay up. Pay up." The other 3 tossed their money into the river. Shangguan Furong said, "Manlin, you say you have a solution, what is it?" The wealthy lady with curled hair continued, "Why not introduce her to someone better? With parents' orders and matchmakers' words, she can't possibly refuse, right?" Shangguan Furong laughed immediately. "You're right. I'll discuss this with my friend." Indeed. Why hadn't she thought of this solution herself? She could introduce Anai Yang to someone far superior. A man from a background that matches the Shangguan family's status. At that time, Anai Yang would undoubtedly be grateful to her. Shangguan Furong's mood immediately improved. Her improved mood brought better luck, and she won several rounds in a row. The ladies once again badgered Shangguan Furong for a treat. "So it's the end of the month and money is tight. Furong, you've won so much today, you must treat us to a good meal." Shangguan Furong laughed. Look at you guys, casting your ambitions so low. I've always said that a woman should control the household finances. How can you let a man be in charge? Among these wealthy women, including Jia Zhenjin, who wasn't reliant on her husband for pocket money, Shangguan Furong was the only one distributing money to her husband. Everyone was green with envy. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 655. Seeking trouble at your doorstep. Letting off steam. _1 Furong. Oh, how we all envy you. You've got such a good life. You can make your husband dance to your tunes. Exactly. Furong, how do you manage to do it? Can you teach the rest of us? In an era where the concept of men being superior to women hasn't faded entirely, how many women could be like Shangguan Furong? The group mumbled in admiration of Shangguan Furong. Shangguan Furong herself enjoyed the envious glances from everyone else and laughed. There's not much to it, really. You all just need to be a bit more dominant. Don't be so submissive. What's there to fear about men? Furong, you make it sound so simple. Do you think everyone's husband is like your Zhao Shen? Someone who tolerates all hits and bullying. As for my husband, I just hope he doesn't throw tantrums and cut my pocket money. I would be thankful for that. Shangguan Furong laughingly said, True, my husband, Zhao Shen, is like a mouse seeing a cat when he sees me. I call him to the east, and he wouldn't dream of even looking to the south. Everyone envied Shangguan Furong, and eventually, the topic came back to food and they started discussing where to eat. Speaking of which, I heard that there's a unique restaurant in Beijing that serves great food, with enthusiastic service and decoration like the Yaoqi Wonderland, said a lady rich in curls. Really? Jia Zhenjin asked. Indeed. A friend of mine told me the desserts there are wonderful. They have mousse cakes and tiramisu and so on. Source, web novel. Com. Updated on N0 New. Omicron. Even my husband mentioned it. He went there with a certain Mr. Wang. Oh, and Furong, your nephew Shangguan Su was also there. Shangguan Furong smirked. What's so magical about this restaurant? Is it really that exaggerated? I think it's called Heavenly Fragrance. It's right around Yurdist Road. Shangguan Furong stood up from the chair. All right, let's go to that Heavenly Fragrance place then. Oh, you are saying, Heavenly Fragrance? Yes, I have also heard of this restaurant. Jia Zhenjin continued. It's terrific. They have this third floor dedicated exclusively for VIP customer service. Only people of status and prestige in Beijing can get in there. I wish I could get a membership card from them. Shangguan Furong laughed. I've never seen such a restaurant in Beijing. Let's check it out, and maybe also get a membership card. Jia Zhenjin said. But I've heard that the membership cards for Heavenly Fragrance have been sold out. It's impossible to apply now. Shangguan Furong snorted softly. With money, what membership card can't you get? It's just a restaurant, what's the big deal? They left the house and walked towards Heavenly Fragrance together. Heavenly Fragrance is located in the busiest street on Yurdist Road. The signboard carries 4 powerful characters. There were no people waiting outside the door. Shangguan Furong snorted with contempt. Wasn't there supposed to be a queue? It seems deserted. Jia Zhenjin laughed. Definitely the so-called Heavenly Fragrance is nothing special. The other two also looked unimpressed. So this was the much-hyped Heavenly Fragrance. They only realized what a bustling place it was after they stepped through the door of Heavenly Fragrance. In the restaurant, there were separate outer and inner halls. A light veil divided the outside and inside halls. Subtle sandalwood incense was burning in the corner. A young woman dressed in hanfu was sitting before a spectacular pile of leaves, playing a pipa. It felt as alluring as a woman hidden behind her pipa. Though the queue was in the outer hall, the serene environment didn't make it seem crowded or noisy. Instead, it was quite charming and made people linger. Oh my gosh! There really is a queue! Jia Zhenjin exclaimed. This place is so beautiful. Even the waitstaff's clothes look pretty. Even Shangguan Furong was taken aback by the place. It was indeed different from other restaurants. This way, please. Is it a party of 4? A waitress in hanfu approached them. Yes. Shangguan Furong nodded. There are 4 of us. The waitress led them to a table. We'll have to wait a little longer. We are booked on the inside. As soon as they sat down, someone provided them with tea and sunflower seeds. Hey, are these ancient Chinese clothes you're wearing? Jia Zhenjin asked. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 656. Asking for trouble at your doorstep. Venting your anger. Underscoring. This is the Han Chinese traditional costume, the Chiru Hanfu. Jia Zhenjin nodded. Oh, where did you buy this one? It's so gorgeous. It makes her want to buy a set. Our boss had this custom made at a factory. She personally designed the patterns and styles. The traditional Chiru Hanfu has wide sleeves, but we have modified it to narrow sleeves for serving convenience. Your boss is quite proficient. Jia Zhenjin exclaimed. By the way, this is your queue number. The waiter handed Shangguan Furong a white strip of paper. The paper was written number 58. What does this 58 mean? Shangguan Furong asked. The waiter explained, you are the 58th group of customers. There are 57 groups ahead of you. 57 groups are waiting ahead. Shangguan Furong exclaimed in surprise. You must be joking. Even if each group spends half an hour eating, they still have to wait 28 hours. The waiter laughed and said, don't worry, our table turnover rate is quite fast, and the interior is spacious too. Sometimes when one group finishes, several tables are immediately available. You probably only have to wait for a couple of hours. Shangguan Furong couldn't even wait for 10 to 20 minutes, let alone a couple of hours. Source web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New Omicron. Shangguan Furong continued. Didn't I hear that you have some kind of VIP membership? Give us each one. With an apologetic look, the waiter said. I'm sorry, comrade, our VIP membership cards are all sold out. Frankly, their staff never imagined that the membership cards, priced over 800 yuan each, would one day be sold out, even creating a shortage. Shangguan Furong asked again. How much is your membership card each? 888, the waiter replied. 888, to ordinary people, is astronomical, but for the wealthy, it's just a meal money, nothing more. Shangguan Furong pulled out a wad of bills from her wallet. Here, I have 1,600 yuan. Set me up with your membership card. Sorry, comrade, it's not about the money. There are many rich people in Beijing who can readily offer thousands, but that still wouldn't get them a card. Our restaurant's membership card is limited. We are no longer issuing new ones. Limited edition again. She expected skincare products to be limited editions, but never thought restaurant dining would be limited too. Shangguan Furong pulled out another stack of bills. How about these? The waiter repeated his previous statement. Jia Zhenjin said, Young lady, just tell us how much you want, okay? Our Furong lacks nothing, least of all money. The 2 rich ladies next to her chipped in. That's right. Furong lacks nothing, especially not money. A smile slowly formed on Shangguan Furong's face. Comrades, this isn't about money. Our restaurant only issued 50 VIP cards. If you want to be members, you need to wait and see if anyone returns their cards. Typically, no one returns their cards. Given the booming business of the Gus Tianxiang, being a VIP customer and dining on the 3rd floor has become a status symbol. In Beijing, it's rare for any high-end restaurant to achieve such popularity. The success of Gus Tianxiang has disrupted the traditional food market. Frustrated by the membership process, an angry Shangguan Furong asked, Do members still need to line up? Not required, the waiter shook his head. We have a designated VIP reception room. Shangguan Furong is the type who wants more when she realizes something isn't easily attainable. Call your manager over. I need to speak with him. The waiter looked at Shangguan Furong and, noting her attire, realized she was no ordinary individual. He begrudgingly summoned the general manager. The general manager is Gu Lanji. She was a talent that Enai Yang had poached from a state-run large restaurant. Hello. Gu Lanji greeted politely. As a general manager, Gu Lanji was not wearing hanfu, but a standard suit, a pencil skirt and black high heels, with a walkie-talkie on her ear. She gave people the impression of a business elite. I want a membership card. Name your price, Shengguan Furong said to Gulanji. Gulanji raised an apologetic smile. Ma'am, I think there may be some misunderstanding. The memberships of our restaurant are limited. We currently don't have additional spaces. No matter how much money you offer, our answer remains the same. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 657. Looking for trouble at your doorstep. Letting off your steam. _3. Limited edition products, if sold exhibitionally, would disrupt the market rules. If the first customer is an exception, and the second and third customers are not, it would offend the customers. If supplied unlimitedly, VIP cards would lose their significance and become cheapened. National Beauty treats all its customers the same. I'm so sorry. Gulanji bowed to Shengguan Furong before turning around and leaving. Shengguan Furong wanted to say something else, but Jia Zhenjin tugged at her arm. Forget it, Furong. I've heard that the VIP card of National Beauty is hard to get. How about we just wait in line for a while? No matter how much Shengguan Furong kicked up a fuss, they wouldn't issue her one. Reluctantly, she sat down. The wealthy woman with curled hair said, Don't worry. My husband has been here with Mr. Wang before. He may be able to borrow a card from a friend. When he gets the card, he'll take you all to the third floor to experience it. Everyone has a sense of curiosity. The VIP lounge on the third floor was touted as something extraordinary, and everyone wanted to experience it. Upon hearing this, Jia Zhenxin's eyes lit up. She clung to the rich woman's arm and said, That sounds great, Yun. We're all depending on you. You must keep your word. Don't sneak over there on your own when the time comes. Zhao Yun laughed. No problem, it's a piece of cake for me. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New Zero. Upon hearing this, Shengguan Furong felt even more distressed. She was supposed to be the one everyone was fawning over. So how did it become Zhao Yun all of a sudden? No, this can't be. She must also get a VIP card. Only then she could regain her status. After all, Zhao Yun was only borrowing from someone else. National Beauty had indeed a quick turnover rate, so they only waited for about an hour and a half before a table became available. The four wealthy women ordered 8 dishes, 3 desserts, and also ordered a strawberry milk tea. These wealthy women were used to eating exotic dishes, but this time, they were conquered by some seemingly ordinary food. Having the chance to eat such delicious food, let alone waiting in line for an hour and a half, they wouldn't mind waiting 10 hours. After leaving National Beauty, Shengguan Furong returned to Zhao family's residence. Lin Fong was sitting properly in the living room. Seeing Shengguan Furong enter, she immediately stood up and said with a smile on her face, Mrs. Zhao, you're back. Lin Fong? How come you're here? After all, Lin Fong was once going to be her sister-in-law, so Shengguan Furong had a reasonably good impression of her. Lin Fong smiled. Mrs. Zhao, I am here about that matter as usual. Of course, Shengguan Furong knew what that matter referred to. Lin Fong, my brother has already found a suitable partner. You can stop thinking about that matter. Although she did not like Enide Suehua at all, she would not show any dislike in front of outsiders. Lin Fong looked disappointed and sighed. It seems that I am not destined to be with Mr. Shengguan. Mrs. Zhao, thank you for your consideration during this time. By the way, this is a token of my gratitude. Please accept it. As she finished speaking, Lin Fong put the gift box she was holding on the coffee table. The gift box was light green, very high-end and classy. Shengguan Furong instantly recognized it as the new Ice Skin Jade Complexion product. Although it's not the Supreme Edition, it was still a limited edition. Take it back. I really can't accept such a gift. Even though Shengguan Furong really wanted the limited edition product, she also deeply understood the principle of no reward without merit. Mrs. Zhao, I've been working with you for a long time, and I think you're a very nice person. I feel a connection with you. I want to give you the Ice Skin Jade Complexion not for any other reason, just to make friends with you. After a pause, Lin Fong added, Mrs. Zhao, you were born noble, and there's a natural grace about your every movement. Being your friend would be my good fortune. Of course, it would be my honor if you accept my gift. Lin Fang's words successfully lifted Shangguan Furong into the clouds. Who doesn't like a little flattery? Of course, in this era, there's no such thing as rainbow farts. This is called flattery. Got to say, Lin Fang accurately pinpointed Shangguan Furong's Achilles heel. Why not accept a gift and listen to someone flattering you at the same time? Shangguan Furong then said. In that case, I will accept it. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 658. Inviting trouble. Venting for you. _4. What a shame that Lin Fang couldn't become my sister-in-law. If Lin Fang had become her sister-in-law, would she have been slapped by Shangguan Dehui for no reason? Further, Lin Fang's lineage is many times more prestigious than Ni Kuihua's. Lin Fang smiled and said, Mrs. Zhao, I knew you would be a good person. Shangguan Furong glanced at the gift box of exquisite beauty products, then turned to the servant standing by, unhappily saying, What are you doing? How could you not even pour a cup of tea for Lin Fang? Is this how you treat guests? I'm sorry, madam. I'll go pour the tea right away. Shangguan Furong smiled at Lin Fang. Servants are just servants, they have no discerning eyes. Don't mind them. Lin Fang replied. As long as you accept my gift, I'm already very happy, why would I mind? Lin Fang nodded her head. She was very satisfied with Lin Fang's cooperative attitude, and it was quite gratifying to feel superior. After some conversation, the two of them had developed a considerable bond. When Lin Fang was about to leave, Shangguan Furong invited her to come over and play more often with a smile. After Lin Fang left. Source Web Novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New Zero. Shangguan Furong recalled Ni Yang's matter, and the smile on her face gradually faded. She ordered the butler. Prepare a list of all the unmarried men in our circle for me. Although the butler was slightly puzzled, he still did as he was told. Before long, Shangguan Furong had the list. After careful selection, Shangguan Furong finally chose a suitable candidate. She called Zhao Shen over and threw the document at him. What do you think of Qian Wei Ya? Zhao Shen was somewhat puzzled about Shangguan Furong's remark. Furong, what do you mean? Do you think he would match a Ni Yang? Shangguan Furong continued. Zhao Shen said in surprise. Furong, are you trying to play matchmaker for them? That seems a bit inappropriate. The Qian family holds a significant status in Beijing, but Qian Wei's daughter Qian Xiaodai is the same age as Ni Yang, and there were rumors that his ex-wife was even the victim of domestic violence. What's inappropriate? Shangguan Furong's face turned cold. Qian family is wealthy and Wei is capable. Marrying him would be Ni Yang's fortune from a past life. It's still uncertain whether they would favor her. Even if Qian Wei isn't perfect, he is still much better than Mo Qishan. Plus, Qian Wei is the head of the family. With the Qian family's support, both the Shangguan and Zhao families would benefit. What does that deadbeat Mo Qishan brings to the table? Once the elderly lady and gentleman Mo passed away, his good days would be over. The Shangguan family couldn't be expected to support him, could they? Ni Yang just wanted to marry a wealthy man, didn't she? Qian Wei has plenty of money. He could certainly satisfy Ni Yang. Zhao Shen made a difficult attempt at persuading. But Qian Wei is much older than Ni Yang. His daughter, Qian Xiaodai, is already 19 years old. Ni Yang is just 18 this year. Isn't this just throwing her to the wolves? Shangguan Furong said. Mo Qishan is also 28, isn't he? And doesn't Ni Yang like older men? Furong, this is a bit improper. What do you know? Shangguan Furong narrowed her eyes. If Qian Wei takes a liking to Ni Yang, she should thank her lucky stars. You have no idea how many girls would give anything to marry into the Qian family. Zhao Shen still looked troubled. Shut up. Shangguan Furong rolled her eyes at Zhao Shen. Zhao Shen was scared into silence. Shangguan Furong continued. Make me a cup of coffee. All right. Zhao Shen turned and walked towards the door. Shangguan Furong leaned back against the headboard. thinking about Anai Yang's business while savoring her coffee, and did not go to sleep until midnight. Early the next morning, Shengguan Furong made a trip to the Qian family. The old lady Qian was over 90 this year, but had retained excellent hearing and vision. She was incredibly energetic. I wondered why the magpies in my garden were chirping this morning. It turns out that a distinguished guest has come. Old lady Qian, you still remember me? Shengguan Furong was pleasantly surprised. But I did indeed come to bring you some good news today. Old lady Qian laughed and said, you are the youngest daughter of the Shengguan family. How can I not remember? Everyone in the privileged circle has some pull. They chatted a bit about other matters before Shengguan Furong broached the main subject. Hearing this, old lady Qian asked, how old is the girl this year? Can she still bear children? Qian Weiye only had a daughter, Qian Xiaodai. The old lady Qian had been dreaming of holding another great-grandson. Shengguan Furong laughed and said, she can bear children. She's still very young. She's only 18 this year. It wouldn't matter if she wants to give birth to 10 or 8 kids. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 659. Seeking trouble at your door. Venting your frustration. _5. Oh, really? There was a glint in old lady Qian's eyes, which weren't cloudy like one might expect. I wonder where the girl is from. Shengguan Furong sighed softly. To tell you something that may make you laugh, my brother has found someone recently. Shengguan Furong briefly introduced Anai Yang's circumstances to old lady Qian. After all, it can't be kept a secret once the two families become related by marriage. It's better to be honest. Upon hearing this, old lady Qian said, why don't you bring her over for me to meet her? Even though Anai Yang is Shengguan Dihui's stepdaughter, she's still acceptable when considering her status. After all, Qian Weiye isn't young anymore. Shengguan Furong then asked, when would you be available? Old lady Qian laughed. I'm an old woman with nothing to do all day. I'm free anytime. Perfect, then let's leave it at that. Good. Old lady Qian nodded. Shengguan Furong left the Qian family's house with a cheerful smile on her face. After leaving the Qian's home, Shengguan Furong decided to lower her status and dropped by the Anai family's house. When she arrived, Anai Yang wasn't home. Source, web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New. Seeing Shengguan Furong, Anai Tsuehua received her warmly. This visitor was, after all, Shengguan Dihui's sister. Furong, come and sit over here. Shengguan Furong stood there. No need to be so formal. I only have a few words to say and then I'll leave. Go ahead. Shengguan Furong continued. Around 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, ask Anai Yang to come to my house to see me. Anai Tsuehua frowned slightly. What do you need to see Yang Yang for? Shengguan Furong initially wanted to lose her temper. Who was this rural woman to question her? It was already a favor to Anai Tsuehua that she had come here to the countryside. But in the blink of an eye, Shengguan Furong changed her expression and laughed. Sister Daya, look at your questioning. Im Yang Yang's aunt, aren't I? What could I possibly do to harm her? She couldn't fall out with Anai Tsuehua before the matter was settled. Anai Tsuehua said, if you don't state what it's about, how can I tell Yang Yang? She always felt that Shengguan Furong had no good intentions. This future little aunt didn't seem like an easy person to deal with. Shengguan Furong's eyes shifted. She then said, it's like this, Sister Daya. The mother of a friend of mine has recently been unwell. Yang Yang is a doctor, right? So I was going to have her come to look at the old woman. Is that so? Anai Tsuehua asked. Of course. Shengguan Furong laughed. You're not suggesting that I would sell Yang Yang, are you? After Anai Yang returned home, Anai Tsuehua told her all about it. Yang Yang, I always feel like Shengguan Furong was acting a bit strange today. Maybe you should not go. Anai Yang smiled faintly. An army's approach can be deflected, just as the flow of water can be diverted. Some matters can't be avoided. And I would like to see what kind of medicine Shengguan Furong has in her gourd. Just be careful then. Anai Yang nodded. At 10 o'clock the next morning, Anai Yang went to her appointment on time. The Zhao family's house wasn't hard to find. And Ai Yang rode her bicycle there. When she arrived, Shangguan Furong was already at the door waiting for her. Seeing Ai Yang, Shangguan Furong had a mocking look on her face. Poor people are always poor. She even arrived on a bicycle. Isn't she ashamed? Don't you usually love wearing cheongsams? Why didn't you wear one today? And Ai Yang was dressed in a very ordinary outfit of jeans and a t-shirt that day. Cheongsams are so pretty. They even highlight the figure. The Qian family are wealthy and esteemed, and Ai Yang was dressed so plainly. What if the Qians don't take to her? And Ai Yang replied casually, "What's wrong with me wearing this?" Shangguan Furong continued, "Never mind, let's go. Remember to speak less after we get there." And Ai Yang looked good no matter what she wore, so Shangguan Furong didn't bother telling her to change. The two got into the car, and shortly after, they arrived at the Qian family's house. The Qian family's house was situated in a rich community, and the villa was even more luxurious than those of the Zhao and Shangguan families. As Shangguan Furong walked, she watched Ai Yang's expression. She was hoping that Ai Yang would be amazed by such a luxurious building. Only by fascinating Ai Yang could Shangguan Furong get the upper hand. However, Ai Yang remained serene. Her clear face held no expression at all. Ah, what an actress! Shangguan Furong had a mocking look on her face. Ai Yang must have screamed internally several times already, hadn't she? A vain girl like her, doesn't she just love money? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 660. Bringing trouble to your doorstep. Venting your anger. _6. Who knows, she might even be deliriously happy once Qian Weiye takes notice of her. Upon seeing Shangguan Furong bringing in Ai Yang, the butler came out to warmly welcome them. "Mrs. Zhao is here, please come inside." The two entered the hall. Mrs. Qian and Qian Weiye were sitting on the couch in the living room. "Furong is here, please have a seat." Mrs. Qian promptly stood up from the sofa. Shangguan Furong then introduced, "Mrs. Qian, this is my niece Ai Yang. Yang, this is Mrs. Qian and Mr. Qian." And Ai Yang politely greeted, "Mrs. Qian, Mr. Qian." The moment Qian Weiye laid his eyes on Ai Yang, he was stunned. Stunning. Incredibly stunning. Qian Weiye was very pleased with Ai Yang and voluntarily introduced himself. "Yang, I'm Qian Weiye. You can simply call me Weiye." Ai Yang slightly frowned. "I apologize, Mr. Qian, but am not used to strangers calling me by my nickname. You can just use my full name." Shangguan Furong's face turned cold. She sharply turned towards Ai Yang, flashing her a warning look. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New. The unworthy girl. She then laughed and said, "Mr. Qian, please do not mind. Yang has always been straightforward." "Why would I?" responded Qian Weiye. "The young people these days have their own temperaments. After all, a lifeless fish isn't entertaining, is it? Glad you don't mind." Being as insightful as Ai Yang, she had already figured out Shangguan Furong's true intentions. She turned to her and asked, "Aunt Furong, you mentioned there was an elderly person seriously ill here who needed my medical help. Is Mrs. Qian the person you were referring to?" Hearing this, the smile on Shangguan Furong's face immediately froze. What is this insolent girl talking about? Mrs. Qian also looked displeased. As one grows old, they pay great heed to such matters. And here Ai Yang was, implying that she was sick. This seemed nothing less than a curse. And Ai Yang continued, "Aunt Furong, didn't you tell me Mrs. Qian was seriously ill and bedridden? How come you're speechless now?" Mrs. Qian's face grew angrier with each passing moment. How dared Shangguan Furong deceive her like this? "Shut up," Shangguan Furong barked. "When did I ever say such thing? If those weren't your words, then why would I bring this medicine box with me?" And Ai Yang glanced to the medicine box slung over her left shoulder. Shangguan Furong immediately tried to explain to Mrs. Qian. "Mrs. Qian, let me explain, that's not the way things are." Before Mrs. Qian could speak, Qian Weiye intervened. "Mrs. Zhao, there's no need for explanations. I understand. Mom, please bring out the item." Although Mrs. Qian wasn't pleased when her son spoke, She had no choice but to comply. At least Young was pretty. As for her temper, it could be adjusted over time. Mrs. Qian took off the silver bracelet from her wrist and handed it to Qian Weiye. Qian Weiye handed it to Shangguan Furong. Mrs. Zhao, this bracelet is especially meant for my future wife. Upon hearing that, Shangguan Furong was over the moon. She never had expected that even after Yang's display, the Qian family would still favor her. This was truly a fantastic turn of events. Shangguan Furong happily accepted the bracelet, smiling. Mr. Zhao, I guess our families will officially be related from now on. Yang chuckled. I never thought Aunt Furong would consider remarriage. As your junior, I wish you and Mr. Qian a happy and fruitful life together. Those words turned everyone's faces sour, especially Shangguan Furong and Qian Weiye. Qian Weiye was just in his 40s, and Yang daringly referred to him as grandfather. Shangguan Furong was seething. Who was Qian Weiye? Did he think he deserved her? Yang, the abominable girl, was clearly getting out of hand. Shangguan Furong went to Yang's side. What are you blabbering about? This bracelet is a gift from Mr. Qian to you. Considering the wealth and status of Mr. Qian, it's your good fortune that he's interested in you. Today, I will decide on your behalf that you will be engaged to Mr. Qian. Shangguan Furong was informing Yang, not negotiating. This marriage was beneficial for both the Shangguan and Zhao families. Yang should be grateful and had no right to object. You'll decide, Yang said with a faint smile. Since when did my affairs become your business? Be clear of your place. Just because I called you aunt, doesn't mean you get to act like an elder. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 661. Courting trouble at your doorstep. Letting you vent. _7 If it weren't for Shangguan Dehui, Yang wouldn't even bother with Shangguan Furong. You. How dare you talk to me like this? Shangguan Furong was so angry that her blood was boiling. She thrust the bracelet in front of Yang. Yang, let me tell you, you have to accept this bracelet today whether you want it or not. Otherwise, your mother can forget about ever entering the Shangguan family's mansion. Who does Yang think she is to look down on Qian Weiye? Yang sticks out her hand and takes the bracelet. Seeing this, Shangguan Furong felt relieved. She always knew that Yang, that greedy girl, would definitely not be able to resist Qian Weiye, the wealthy man. But before Shangguan Furong could react, the silver bracelet was slipped onto her wrist by Yang. Yang smiled. Wish you both a long and happy life together. I'm leaving now. With that said, Yang turned around and walked away. Shangguan Furong was furious. She tried to take off the bracelet, but it had already been tightened by Yang to the size of her wrist. At this point, it was impossible to remove it. The bracelet was supposed to be adjustable, but Yang must have tampered with it. Now the bracelet was stuck as if it was glued. No matter how hard she tried, it just wouldn't loosen. Shangguan Furong's hand was even scraped, but she couldn't remove the bracelet. She angrily looked at Qian Weiye. What are you standing there for? I've already promised her to you, go get her back. Source: web novel. Com. Updated on new. This Qian Weiye is just as useless as Zhao Shen. Oh, okay. Qian Weiye hurriedly chased after her. Yang had just walked out of the mansion's main entrance. Qian Weiye came from behind and pounced on her. Yang. Yang was on guard earlier. She stepped aside, causing Qian Weiye to miss and fall face first onto the ground. Yang, Shangguan Furong has already decided to betroth you to me. You are now my fiancé. You will marry me one day. You can't run away. Yang looked down at Qian Weiye. Mr. Qian, you're mistaken. It's me who betrothed Shangguan Furong to you. After all, Shangguan Furong is the one who accepted your family heirloom. Qian Weiye snorted. What makes you think you can decide Shangguan Furong's fate? Yang nodded slightly. That's a very good question. Then may I ask what gives Shangguan Furong the right to decide my fate? Mr. Zhao, be careful. I might report your family to the police station for trafficking innocent girls. With that said, Yang turned away and left. Qian Weiye angrily grabbed a handful of soil, rose, and walked back to the house. Shangguan Furong, are you playing games with me on purpose? Qian Weiye grabbed Shangguan Furong by the collar. He had heard that Qian Weiye was a bastard, even beating his own wife to death. How could Shangguan Furong not be scared? This was not going according to her plan. She had thought that Enai Yang, just a village girl, would be easy to manipulate. She didn't expect that Enai Yang had slipped out of her control. That Enai Yang, that shameless girl. How ungrateful she was. Shangguan Furong took a deep breath. Mr. Qian, we're family. Speak nicely, don't be rough. Whose family with you? Shangguan Furong put on a smile. Mr. Qian, you are about to marry my niece. Aren't we family? Don't worry, Mr. Qian. If Enai Yang's mother wants to marry into the Shangguan family, she has to get past me. So, I definitely have a way to make Enai Yang marry you. Are you for real? Qian Weiye narrowed his eyes. Of course it's true. Shangguan Furong nodded. I won't hide it from you. Enai Yang is just a country girl. Being able to marry you is a blessing she has acquired from countless past lives. Relax, leave this matter to me. Fine. Qian Weiye let go of Shangguan Furong's collar. I will trust you this one time. Shangguan Furong continued. Just wait for your bride. I assure you will get Enai Yang nice and obedient for you. Even more so than a kitten. I'll trust you this one time. Just as Enai Yang walked out of the Qian family mansion, a black car drove by her side. After about 10 seconds, the same car came back. The car window lowered, revealing a handsome face. Yang. Brother Mo. Enai Yang looked at Mo Qishan, somewhat surprised. Mo Qishan quickly got out of the car and opened the door. Yang, what are you doing here? Enai Yang looked around. Let's get in the car and talk. All right. Mo Qishan nodded in agreement and opened the car door for Enai Yang. Once in the car, Enai Yang said, I came here with Shangguan Furong. Mo Qishan paused for a moment. Usually, Enai Yang would address Shangguan Furong as Aunt Furong. Why did she directly call out her name today? Enai Yang was typically not a rude person. Could it be that Shangguan Furong did something to provoke her? Yang, what happened? Did Shangguan Furong bully you? Mo Qishan asked. Enai Yang laughed. She could never bully me. It's just that something quite disgusting happened. Before coming to the Qian family, Enai Yang had truly not thought that Shangguan Furong harbored such intentions. It was absolutely disgusting. Do tell. Mo Qishan asked, turning on the car's music system. Enai Yang briefly explained the situation. She originally had no intention to hide this from Mo Qishan. Mo Qishan's eyes darkened, containing a hint of monstrous rage, emitting a dangerous aura. He had initially not wanted to stoop to Shangguan Furong's level. After all, she was just a scheming, malicious woman. But Shangguan Furong should not have involved Enai Yang. Now he wouldn't be polite to her anymore. Mo Qishan's hand on the steering wheel tightened gradually, his knuckles turning slightly pale. If Enai Yang were an ordinary girl, she might have already fallen victim to Qian Weiye's harassment. The mere thought of Enai Yang nearly being bullied made Mo Qishan feel suffocated. He tried to suppress the anger welling up inside him, and spoke softly, Boss, I will avenge you for this. His voice was quiet and calm, but it carried an unsettling aura. Enai Yang raised an eyebrow slightly. Oh, really? No. Mo Qishan lightly pinched her nose. Enai Yang leaned slightly towards him and hugged him. Brother Mo, you're so nice. Mo Qishan hugged her back. Thank you for the praise, boss. The hug only lasted for a few seconds. Enai Yang let go of him, rolled up his sleeve to reveal his glittering robust wristwatch. It's already past 11. Brother Mo, should we go for lunch? Sure. Mo Qishan nodded. Where do you want to go? Enai Yang continued. I suddenly feel like having stinky tofu and crossing the bridge noodles. Would you like to join? Sure. It's been a long time since I last had these. They went to a street of diners, had lunch, and then went to a movie. Finally, Mo Qishan drove Enai Yang home. In the end, the luxury car stopped in front of a business building. Mo Qishan got out of the car. His originally smiling face was now solemn. His thin lips pressed together, and his eyes held a stormy hue, causing everyone around to feel anxious. What's wrong with the gentleman today? How terrifying. Mo Chishan made his way to the top floor and opened the door of his office. He sat on the leather boss chair, loosened his tie, and finally picked up the phone. Bring Qian Weiye to me. And tell Morris to prepare a dossier on the Zhao family and Shengguan Furong for me right away. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 662. The show begins. _1 Upon finishing his sentence, Mo Chishan hung up the phone. His face, usually stone cold, appeared to be enveloped by an impenetrable layer of ice. Shengguan Furong on the other end was still unaware of all that had taken place. After leaving the Zhao family, she had made her way to the Shengguan family residence. Shengguan Furong rushed into the living room, and upon not seeing her mother, asked one of the servants, "Where's Mom?" "The dowager is resting in her room," the servant replied. Shengguan Furong immediately began ascending the stairs, knocking on the door loudly. "Mum! Mum! Mum!" A moment later, her mother appeared, wrapped in a robe. "What's the rush all about?" Shengguan Furong replied with a smile. "I've brought good news, of course." "And what good news could you possibly have?" The dowager stepped aside to allow Shengguan Furong in the room. Shengguan Furong then said, "Mum, I've found in Aiyang a great potential match." The dowager furrowed her brows slightly. "What did you say?" "I said, I've found a good family that matches our status in the Shengguan family for in Aiyang," Shengguan Furong repeated. "The Qian family holds notable prestige, and Qian Weiye is the head of the family." Source, web novel. Com. Updated on NewZero. The dowager had no reason to object. As long as the dowager is on board, and Aiyang would have to agree. Yang already has a boyfriend. There's no need for you to meddle. The dowager expressed her displeasure. "You're talking about Mo Chishan?" A dismissive look flashed across Shengguan Furong's face. "You're well aware of Mo Chishan's reputation. Mum, rest assured this time, I've truly found a good man for in Aiyang. He's leagues better than Mo Chishan." "Furong, did your brother's slap not wake you up the last time?" The dowager looked at Shengguan Furong. Mention of the slap made Shengguan Furong's expression turn cold. She had not even held the incident against Shengguan Dehui. Yet their mother was bringing it up again. Wasn't this deliberately meant to humiliate her? "Mum, I've been thinking of you all as my family. That's why I've been running around trying to find in Aiyang a good match. But all you do is dismiss my goodwill as worthless." The dowager sighed. "Furong, if you truly cared about our family, you'd keep your nose out of where it doesn't belong." With her grandchildren all grown up and Shengguan Dehui having found his own happiness, all that the dowager wanted now was to live out her remaining years in peace. Why was Shengguan Furong always stirring up trouble instead of living a quiet life? Why did she have to give birth to such a daughter? How is this meddling? I'm doing this for our family's good. Do you think I like meddling in Aiyang's affairs? If it weren't for the fact that Cuehua was marrying Shengguan Dehui, she wouldn't even spare Aiyang a glance. Lin Fong was so eager to marry into a rich family, yet she didn't introduce Qian Weiye to her. In the end, not only did she gain nothing, but she also stirred up a lot of trouble. What a thankless world this was. Shengguan Furong continued. "Mum, the person I'm introducing to Aiyang is Qian Weiye. You're acquainted with Lady Qian too. And Qian Weiye agreed to this match. Now we're only waiting for your approval. As long as you give the go-ahead, there's nothing Aiyang can complain about. After all, she's just a country girl. Qian Weiye taking a liking to her is an unimaginable stroke of luck." "What?" The dowager turned pale with rage, her breathing labored. "What did you say? Qian Weiye? Do you have any idea how old Qian Weiye is this year? Shengguan Furong, you've gone too far. What's wrong with Qian Weiye? Aren't they just a bit older than Aiyang? Aside from the age gap, how is Qian Weiye not superior to Mo Chishan? Mum, Aiyang isn't your biological granddaughter. Why are you protecting her so much? Given her background, marrying Qian Weiye would be a stroke of good fortune." Although Cuehua was going to marry Shengguan Dehui, the relationship between Aiyang and the Shengguan family was still not close. If it were Shangguan's biological granddaughter, who was to marry Qian Weiye, that would definitely not have been suitable. After all, whoever Qian Weiye marries essentially becomes his concubine. The dowager trembled all over. Shangguan Furong had gone too far. This was outrageous. She was already seething with anger after hearing these words. How would Anai Yang react if she heard them? Shangguan Furong continued. Mum, you're not a fool. You know exactly what the pros and cons are. If Anai Yang marries Qian Weiye, our Shangguan family are the ones who will benefit. If Anai Yang were to be with Mo Qishan, everyone would only end up laughing at the Shangguan family's expense. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 663. The show begins. Underscore 2. Shut up. The old Mrs. Shangguan, unable to contain her anger, slapped Shangguan Furong squarely across the face. Caught off guard, Shangguan Furong's face immediately sported a visible handprint, and her words came to an abrupt halt. She hit her. Old Mrs. Shangguan actually hit her. A few days ago, it was her own brother that hit her. Now it's her own mother. Moreover, it was all because of Anai Yang. Misfortune. They, mother and daughter, were truly a curse. Old Mrs. Shangguan continued. A daughter married off is like a bucket of water poured out. You have no right to interfere in Anai Yang's affairs. Old Mrs. Shangguan really didn't want to speak so harshly to Shangguan Furong. After all, in her eyes, her children were all equal. But Shangguan Furong was just too excessive. Source web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New. 0 Mother, what did you say? Shangguan Furong looked at old Mrs. Shangguan in disbelief. I said a daughter married off is like a bucket of water poured out. Can't you understand me? Old Mrs. Shangguan continued. Before your brother indulged you, no matter how excessive you were, he wouldn't grudge you. But this time it's different. Furong, I hope you can recognize your position. You're 36 years old, not 16. Can you think about the consequences before you speak or act? Staring at old Mrs. Shangguan, Shangguan Furong looked as if she was seeing a stranger. 36 years. This was the second time old Mrs. Shangguan had spoken such harsh words to her. The other time was on the way back from Inai Quihua's home. Everything I did was for the Shangguan family. Shangguan Furong cried hysterically. Fine. It's my fault. I'm meddling in others' business. Okay. From today on, I'll stop caring about these damn things, okay? Shangguan Furong picked up a vase and smashed it hard on the ground. Crash, shards flew in all directions. The maids cleaning downstairs were greatly startled by this sudden crash. Old Mrs. Shangguan watched Shangguan Furong's retreating figure, shaking her head helplessly. This child is getting more and more irresponsible, and the real hardships are yet to come. Shangguan Furong, covering her left face, made her way downstairs. The passing servants, seeing her like this, dared not to approach and ask what happened. Just then, Shangguanxi returned from outside. Aunt, what happened to you? Get out. Shangguan Furong, still enraged, pushed Shangguanxi away. Caught off guard, Shangguanxi was pushed to the ground, hitting her head on the corner of a table. Miss, are you all right? The servants rushed over and helped Shangguanxi up. I'm fine. Shangguanxi, supported by the servant, stood up and rubbed her nape. What happened to my aunt? The servant pointed to the ceiling and whispered. It seems like there was some disagreement between the miss and old madam. Huh? Shangguanxi frowned slightly, ignoring her headache. She ran upstairs immediately. Upstairs, old Mrs. Shangguan sat on the sofa, her face filled with worry. She was reflecting on herself. It was she who had spoiled Shangguan Furong. It was she who hadn't taught Shangguan Furong well. Grandma. Shangguanxi sat down next to old Mrs. Shangguan. Xiaoxi. A forced smile appeared on old Mrs. Shangguan's face. Shangguanxi tried to break the news gently. Grandma, I just saw my aunt leaving in tears. What happened between you two? Old Mrs. Shangguan sighed, recounted the whole story to Shangguanxi. Hearing this, Shangguanxi was shocked. It's horrifying. What kind of person is Qian Weiye? A scumbag who even beat his wife to death. What Shangguan Furong did was like pushing Inai Yang into a flaming pit. How could my aunt do such a thing? Sheng Guanxi frowned. Yang must be very angry now. We must not let my aunt affect Aunt Daya and Dad's relationship. After all, it was not easy for Dad and Aunt Daya to finally be together. Exactly. Old Mrs. Shengguan agreed. Xiaoxi, it's good that you are back. Let's go to Aunt Daya's house together and explain everything to Aunt Daya and Yang properly. Okay. Shengguanxi nodded. Under the cover of night, they took a car to the Ni family home. When they arrived, the Ni family was having their meal. The whole family were gathered around the table, laughing and dining, creating a harmonious atmosphere. Aunt Daya, Aunt Ni, Yang. Shengguanxi greeted them politely. Grandma, Sister Xiaoxi, why are you here? Ni Yang stood up in surprise. Yang, we, the Shengguan family, have wronged you. Old Mrs. Shengguan walked over, holding Ni Yang's hand with an apologetic face. We made you suffer such injustice. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 664. The show begins. _3. What's going on? Ni Tsuehua and Ni Qinggui were puzzled. Ni Yang had started cooking as soon as they got home, and hadn't had time to tell Ni Tsuehua about it yet. The Shengguan matriarch sighed. It's all my fault for not raising my daughter right. She then recounted the entire incident. On hearing this, the faces of Ni Tsuehua and Ni Qinggui darkened. Hadn't Shengguan Furong overstepped her bounds? She had even set her sights on Ni Yang. The one consolation was that the matriarch of the Shengguan family was reasonable. If the Shengguan matriarch and Shengguan Furong were of the same breed, then the Shengguan family would be no different from a den of beasts. The Shengguan matriarch continued. It's my fault for not raising my daughter properly. Rest assured, Ni Yang, I will make Furong apologize to you personally. You deserve an explanation. Since the Shengguan matriarch was so reasonable, Ni Yang naturally wouldn't be petty. After all, the matriarch hadn't been aware of this situation before. If the situation had been encouraged by the Shengguan matriarch herself, then Ni Yang would never forgive her. All in all, this matter had nothing to do with the Shengguan matriarch. As long as Aunt Furong sincerely apologizes and changes her ways, we can pretend like nothing happened. However, if she keeps on the same course, don't blame me for being disrespectful. Source: Web novel. Com. Updated on new. These last words seem to be a polite but firm warning. Although Ni Yang had decided not to push the matter further, she was not the type to suffer in silence. The Shengguan matriarch looked at Ni Yang with admiration in her eyes. This child was well raised by Ni Tsuehua. Deep down, she had a sense of indomitable spirit, without any arrogance. And she didn't take unfair advantage of the situation, despite having the upper hand. The Shengguan matriarch was certain that in the not-too-distant future, Ni Yang would surely achieve great things. Don't worry, Ni Yang. Even if you don't do anything, I will take matters into my own hands to clean up the Shengguan family, she said. After finishing the topic, the Shengguan matriarch asked to leave. Ni Tsuehua said, Aunt, it's late already. If you and Xiaoxi don't mind that we've already started eating, why don't you stay and have dinner with us? Shengguanxi responded excitedly. Sounds great, Aunt Daya. I love the food at your house. She had been worried that Ni Tsuehua might take her anger out on them because of Shengguan Furong's behavior. However, it seemed that Ni Tsuehua was not the unreasonable type. The Shengguan matriarch replied modestly. Daya, we appreciate your hospitality. Ni Tsuehua brought in 2 new sets of bowls and chopsticks. We're all family, there's no need for you to be so polite, Aunt. Ni Yang silently stood up, planning to head into the kitchen to whip up a couple more dishes. She had prepared just enough food for 3 adults and 1 child, but now with 2 more people, they would inevitably come up short. Ni Yang, where are you off to? Shengguanxi quickly noticed Ni Yang's movements. Ni Yang replied, I'm going to cook a few more dishes. Can I come with you? Shengguanxi put down her chopsticks. This way I could pick up a few tricks. Sure. Ni Yang nodded. They both headed to the kitchen. Shengguanxi learned quite a few helpful cooking tips by following Ni Yang around. Qian Weiye was led to the top floor of a business building. A figure was seated on the boss chair with his back to him, revealing only an imposing silhouette. Even just the silhouette was enough to strike fear into anyone who saw it. This was an instinctive fear. After all, this man was the famous Mr. Mog. Qian Weiye's hands were shaking as he took a handkerchief out of his pocket. He was wiping his forehead, but sweat just kept pouring out, like an endlessly proliferating weed. Mr. Qian, please sign this. Morris placed a document on the desk in front of Qian Weiye. Reading what was on that document, Qian Weiye's knees gave out, and he landed on the floor. Mr. Mog, I beg you, please spare me and the Qian family. He had no idea how he had offended this influential figure. With him in Mr. Mog's sights, it seemed that the Qian family was in trouble. Do you know why you offended Mr. Mog? Morris squatted down and patted Qian Weiye's face lightly. I don't know. Because you offended someone you should never have offended. Morris explained in fluent Chinese. You're so lowly, yet you dare to covet things above your station. You aspire to possess our lattice attention? Lady Mog, if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 665. The show begins. _4. This left Qian Weiye even more stunned. I didn't. I haven't even seen Mrs. Mog. How could I be a toad trying to eat swan meat? Mr. Mog, you must see clearly. This is a disaster out of nowhere. Qian Weiye felt he was even more wrong than Do Yi. Think about it again, Morris said, increasing the force in his hand. Qian Weiye was shaking all over. He thought to himself, who on earth was Mrs. Mog? Qian Weiye lost his wife many years ago. He couldn't help but attract other women in his everyday life, but most of them were ordinary girls who he pacified very well afterward. Could it be? Qian Weiye felt a chill in his heart. Wouldn't the so-called Mrs. Mog be an Aiyang? An Aiyang was beautiful. Qian Weiye has seen countless women, but never seen such a distinctive one. It was normal for Mr. Mog to become her suitor? Could it really be her? Qian Weiye gulped. The more he thought about it, the more frightened he became. Source: Web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New. That Shengguan Furong really ruined him. Mr. Mog, I am truly sorry. I have no eye for treasure. I am a toad who wants to eat swan meat. I didn't know an Aiyang was your wife. Please let me go. I promise this will never happen again. Qian Weiye was very repentant about his behavior, crying bitterly. You want a next time? A cold voice came from the front, as if it could freeze one's flesh and blood. It seems the real Mrs. Mog is indeed an Aiyang. I didn't guess it wrong. Qian Weiye froze in fear, and immediately started slapping his face. No, Mr. Mog, I was wrong. I didn't mean that. I'm just a worthless creature. I'm a beast, please don't stoop to my level. In no time at all, Qian Weiye had slapped himself into a pig's face. His face was full of handprints. The man turned his back to him, and extended his hand to his assistant. Realizing, the assistant immediately handed him a cigar and a lighter. Click. The sound of the lighter echoed in the air, and smoke rose in front of him, as if a layer of snow had been laid around him. Qian Weiye crawled to him, knelt on the ground, and mumbled unclearly. Mr. Mog, please forgive this beast. This beast will never dare again. The man withdrew his disgusted foot, took a slow puff of smoke. Go and apologize to Yang Yang. Ask her to forgive you. Okay. Qian Weiye immediately got up from the ground and ran outside. Only then did the man turn his head, revealing a sharp-featured face, a cigar hanging at the corner of his thin lips, looking at Morris by his side. Morris quickly understood and turned to follow Qian Weiye. Morris, who had been following him for a long time, naturally understood what he meant. If Qian Weiye had turned his head back at that moment, he would have realized that the renowned Mr. Mog was actually despised by everyone. Mo Qishan. Mo Qishan then reached out to Marcus. Where are the files on the Zhao family and Shengguan Furong? Here, answered Marcus respectfully, handing over the files. How handsome the master looks when he's furious for his woman. Marcus was extremely excited. Mo Qishan took the files and flipped through a few pages. Marcus then said, Last night, Shangguan Furong returned to the Shangguan family. What was the Shangguan family's reaction? Mo Qishan asked. Marcus thought for a while, then said, Old Madame Shangguan and Shangguan Furong had a big argument. Shangguan Furong was even slapped across the face. In the end, old Madame Shangguan personally went to Miss Nis' house. It was fortunate that Madame Shangguan was wise. If Madame Shangguan was the same as Shangguan Furong, those who would be unlucky this time would not be limited to just Shangguan Furong and Qian Weiye. Upon hearing this, Mo Qishan's previously tight face relaxed a bit. Marcus then asked, Sir, do you want me to invite Shangguan Furong over? No need. Mo Qishan closed the files. Come closer. Marcus walked over to Mo Qishan and bent down. Mo Qishan whispered something to him, and Marcus nodded. Okay, sir, I have it. This tactic of Mo Qishan, using someone's own methods against them, was absolutely ruthless. Shangguan Furong was about to face bad luck now. Ni family's house. Just as Ni Yang opened the gate, ready to go out, an unknown figure popped up. Grandma. Ni Yang slightly frowned. This man, whose face is swollen like a pig's head. Does she know him? And he is calling her grandma. Does she look that old? Grandma, it's me. It's Qian Weiye. Qian Weiye spoke again. Ni Yang smiled lightly. It seems you didn't take my words to heart yesterday. So, do you want to try the taste of being hit with an 812 again? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 666. The show begins. _5. No, no, no. Qian Weiye shook his head immediately, knelt on the ground with a thud, picked up a thick vine from the ground and held it in his hand. Granny, I'm here to apologize. Sorry, Granny. I was blind before, a toad craving after swan meat. I will never dare to do it again. I beg your mercy. Please spare me this time. Ni Yang slightly squints her eyes. What is happening? Why did Qian Weiye change his behavior? Could it be Mo Qishan's work? Interesting. Ni Yang picked up the vine with a faint smile. In fact, Qian Weiye is not entirely to blame for this. After all, it was Shangguan Furong who took the initiative. By law, Qian Weiye can be considered an accomplice at most. Qian Weiye, you haven't been shy of forcing yourself on innocent girls in the past, have you? No, no. Qian Weiye shook his head immediately. I swear, Granny, I have never forced anyone. All those women were with me voluntarily. Ni Yang didn't say much else. She just broke the vine she had been holding in her hand with a simple snap. Qian Weiye, if you ever do anything disgraceful in the future, this broken vine will be your fate. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New Omicron. The vine is half an arm thick and quite resilient. It would be impossible for an ordinary person to break it with one hand. Qian Weiye's moral compass was reset again. He was so scared he began to kowtow. I will never do it again. Granny, I promise, I will never do it again. Get out. Ni Yang's red lips spoke lightly. Thank you, Granny, for your mercy. I'm leaving now. Qian Weiye seemed like he had received amnesty, picked up his knee, curled up into a ball and rolled away. Ni Yang. Just then Ni Qihua's voice came from inside the house. Yang, who is it outside? Ni Yang responded. Just a passerby asking for directions. Zhao family. Shangguan Furong has been in an extremely bad mood these days. If Shangguan Dehui had been with Lin Fong from the beginning, none of this would have happened. It's all Ni Qihua's fault. All her fault. Seeing Shangguan Furong in such a bad mood, both the old lady of the Zhao family and Zhao Shen were treading on eggshells around her, fearing they might add fuel to the fire. Just then Lin Fong walked in from outside. She first greeted the old lady and Zhao Shen, and then came upstairs. Furong. After her active approach last time, their friendship has grown rapidly. Now she was free to come and go in the Zhao family's house. With her gentle character, even the servants of the Shangguan family liked her. Shangguan Furong, being a proud person, ignored Lin Fong, especially since she had been annoyed recently. Why are you here? Lin Fong did not get upset and said with a smile, Furong, I came to give you a present. What present? Shangguan Furong finally looked at Lin Fong with a hint of interest. This for you. Lin Fong took a black card out of her bag and handed it to Shangguan Furong. The black card was pitch black, with gold lines as decoration on the edges, and the 4 characters, National Beauty and Heavenly Fragrance, on the left side. It looked very upscale and classy. What is this? Shangguan Furong asked. This is a membership card of National Beauty and Heavenly Fragrance. Lin Fong continued. Furong, haven't you always wanted their membership card? This one is for you. The National Beauty and Heavenly Fragrance membership card costs 888 yuan each. Obviously Lin Fong couldn't afford one, not to mention it was limited edition. This black card was given to her by a mysterious person who claimed to want to help her. Is this really a membership card from National Beauty and Heavenly Fragrance? Shangguan Furong looked at Lin Fong in surprise. Lin Fong nodded. Furong, given our relationship, do you think I would lie to you? Thank you then. Shangguan Furong suppressed the excitement in her heart. She was someone who had seen big scenes. How could she just show her emotions so easily? But she was really excited. With the National Beauty and Heavenly Fragrance's membership card, she could now take that group of card-playing friends to their 3rd floor for a surprise. By then, they will be so envious of her. Seeing Shangguan Furong like this, Lin Fong smirked, and then said, Furong, I have things to do at home. I won't bother you anymore. Wait a moment. Shangguan Furong called out to Lin Fong. What's the matter? Lin Fong turned around to look at Shangguan Furong. Shangguan Furong opened a jewelry box and casually pulled out a necklace. I bought this necklace a long time ago and only wore it once. Now I'm giving it to you. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 667. The show begins. _6. Lin Fong declined. Furong, I can't accept it. I only gifted you the membership card because I felt we had a strong connection, not because I'm after your stuff. Just take it. Shangguan Furong was not one to be petty. Helplessly, Lin Fong accepted it. After Lin Fong left, Shangguan Furong also departed the Zhao household. With Shangguan Furong's departure, the atmosphere in the Zhao house instantly lightened. The smile had returned to Grandma Zhao's face. Lin Fong, who had previously left, returned moments later. This time, she held a thermos to her hand. Grandma, I heard you often have headaches. I made you some gastrodia chicken soup specially. It's very good for the head. Lin Fong removed the lid from the thermos and ladled out a bowl of soup for Grandma Zhao. Thank you, Xiaolin. The old lady accepted the soup with a face full of smiles. As the matriarch of the Zhao family, was she lacking in chicken soup? What she lacked was a gesture of kindness. Shangguan Furong had never once shown such filial piety. Lin Fong was really wonderful. She was kind, gentle, and understanding. Source: Web novel. Com. Updated on N0 New Omicron. Omicron WHY hadn't Zhaoshan met such a good person? Grandma, Furong and I are good friends. Making you a bowl of soup is no big deal. I just hope you don't mind, Lin Fong said. Look at you talking like that. I'm more than happy to have it. Why would I mind? Grandma Zhao drained the bowl of soup in one gulp. The taste of the gastrodia was slightly bitter, so Lin Fong promptly handed over a piece of honey loquat. Grandma Zhao took it, laughing. Xiaolin, you're a really thoughtful child. Lin Fong replied. Maybe because I'm used to being around children a lot. I've got used to it. Grandma Zhao nodded approvingly. Not long after, Zhao Zijuan and Zhao Ziqing, the 2 siblings, arrived home from school. Zijuan, Ziqing. Auntie Lin Fong. The siblings immediately rushed over to greet her. They seemed more excited to see her than their own mother. Shangguan Furong was often harsh to others, including her own children. This led to the siblings being quite fearful of Shangguan Furong, and not very close to her. Lin Fong then opened the second layer of her lunchbox. Zijuan, Ziqing, didn't you two say last time that you liked Auntie's dumplings? I specially made some for you today. Zhao Zijuan and Zhao Ziqing, who were 10 and 8 years old, respectively, really relished treats. Thank you, Auntie Lin Fong. The siblings immediately started wolfing down the dumplings. The dumplings were delicious. Despite them being only minced pork and leeked dumplings, they were irresistible. Plus, they were beautifully made. Auntie Lin Fong, you're so amazing. With a modest smile, Lin Fong said, "It's just a plate of dumplings. If you two like it, I can make them more often and bring them over to you." Really? The siblings looked at her, stunned. Of course. Lin Fong nodded. Zhao Ziqing said, "Auntie Lin Fong, I wish you were our mother, so my brother and I could have these delicious dumplings every day." Zhao Zijuan, sensing this comment might be inappropriate, pulled at Zhao Ziqing's sleeve. Zhao Ziqing asked, "Brother, why are you pulling me? I didn't say anything wrong. Our mother doesn't even like us. We'd be better off with Auntie Lin Fong being our mother." Zhao Zijuan was 2 years older than Zhao Ziqing and more sensible. Even though their mother wasn't very attentive to them, a mother is, after all, a mother. The speaker may not mean it, but the listener may take it to heart. A flash of light glowed in Grandma Zhao's eyes. Lin Fong approached. "Ziqing, you can't just say whatever you want. If your mother heard it, she will be heartbroken." "Let her be heartbroken." Zhao Ziqing responded nonchalantly. Lin Fong continued, "Promise, Auntie, you won't say such things anymore, otherwise Auntie won't come to see you too." Perhaps the last sentence scared Zhao Ziqing, who nodded and said, "Okay, I won't say it." In her heart, however, she truly wished that Lin Fong was her mother. Shangguan Furong invited Jia Zhenjin, Zhao Yun, and Su Manlin to Gus Tianxiang. The 4 women met at the entrance of Gus Tianxiang. Jia Zhenjin asked, "Furong, don't tell me you really have a membership card for Gus Tianxiang?" "Of course." Shangguan Furong took out the black card and flaunted it. "See, isn't this it?" Jia Zhenjin took the black card while the others immediately huddled around to take a look. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 668. The show begins. _7 Zhao Yiyun said, "I've seen the Gus Tianxiang membership card from my friend. It's exactly the same as this one. My gosh. Furong, you're just too amazing." Shangguan Furong with a smile said, "Isn't it just a card? It's no big deal to me." This membership card perfectly satisfied Shangguan Furong's vanity. She was used to being dominant at home, so she wanted to take control no matter the occasion. Jia Zhenjin sighed. "As I thought, we all really have to rely on Furong." "Exactly, Furong is indeed amazing." Shangguan Furong, who had been depressed for several days, also began to cheer up at this moment. With the membership card, they were able to ascend to the 3rd floor smoothly without queuing. The decoration on the 3rd floor completely stunned the 4 of them. It was not until they reached the 3rd floor that they realized there was a special menu for VIP customers. The dishes and desserts on the menu were all new to them, such as mango pudding, fruit salad, and such. Shangguan Furong ordered a table full of dishes and desserts with an indomitable spirit. Source: web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New. The 4 of them spent over 5 hours on the 3rd floor. In the middle, they even played a game of mahjong before leaving the 3rd floor. Just as they left their private room, Shangguan Furong saw a familiar figure. Was that Anai Yang? What was Anai Yang doing, wiping a vase? Wasn't she selling noodles? How did she end up at Gus Tianxiang doing menial work? Shangguan Furong squinted her eyes, looked around, and already had an answer in her heart. Anyone who could come to the 3rd floor of Gus Tianxiang wouldn't be of low status. Anai Yang really did have grand ambitions. She turned down the introduction to Qian Weiye, yet she fawningly did odd jobs at Gus Tianxiang. She's really shameless. Furong, what are you looking at? Jia Zhenjin curiously looked at Shangguan Furong. Nothing. Shangguan Furong withdrew her gaze, just having a look. Oh, Jia Zhenjin nodded. Let's go then. The group headed downstairs together. Gus Tianxiang was always full of guests every day, so Anai Yang didn't notice Shangguan Furong. After she finished wiping the vase, she handed the rag to a waiter beside her and said, "The most taboo thing in the catering industry is sanitation problems. From now on, this vase should be cleaned daily. The standard is that no dust can be seen when it is wiped with a white cloth." "All right, I know." The waiter behind her nodded. Then Anai Yang found Gulanji. Even though Gulanji was much older than Anai Yang in terms of age, she truly admired Anai Yang. This young, slender girl was just too impressive. At first, she and everyone else didn't think highly of Gus Tianxiang's future. She only agreed to work here because of the high salary of more than 300 yuan. She never expected that Gus Tianxiang's business would become so booming someday. It became the target of imitation for everyone in the catering industry. Working here gave her a sense of superiority. Anai Yang said, "Sister Lanji, from now on, there should be a sanitary inspection in the restaurant every 3 days. Then we will rate them as ABC. A class will be rewarded 30 yuan each, B class 10 yuan each, and C class will be rewarded 1 yuan. The restaurant had 3 floors which were divided into 3 zones, A, B, and C. The sanitation conditions of these 3 zones could be compared with each other. As the saying goes, no reward, no motivation. A restaurant should not ignore sanitation just because the food and service are good and business is booming. Anai Yang's standard is, there is no best, only better." Gulanji had no objections to Anai Yang's proposal. She nodded and said, "All right, Yang Yang, I got it. Yang Yang, you have a call." A waiter hurried over. In the restaurant, everyone called Anai Yang Yang Yang. Originally, everyone used to call her boss. But they felt that calling her boss wasn't nice. And calling her Anai was too stiff, so they asked everyone to call her Yang Yang instead. All right. Anai Yang went over to answer the phone. Yang Yang. The person on the other end of the line was Anai Tsuehua. "Mom, what's the matter?" Anai Yang asked. Anai Tsuehua continued, "Yang Yang, Annie and Emily are here. Can you come home now?" "All right." Anai Yang hung up the phone, said a word to Gulanji, and went home. It was already cold in November. Anai Yang put on a purple coat as she walked along. The coat was of a slim fit design, and there were 2 pearls for embellishment on the cuffs. Anai Yang hurried out, not noticing that one of the pearls slid off the cuff. A man wearing an old-fashioned gown passed by her. The pearl happened to roll to the man's feet. The man squatted down, picked up the pearl, and looked back. The road outside was bustling with people, and her figure was no longer seen. "What are you looking at, Mr. Du?" asked Wang Ziki. Mr. Du coughed lightly with his fist against his lips. "Nothing." The 2 men walked inside. "Do you have a membership card?" A waiter dressed in Hanfu immediately greeted them. "Membership card?" Wang Ziki furrowed his brows in confusion. The waiter politely said, "All the seats are taken inside. If you don't have a membership card, please follow me to wait for meal." "What is a membership card?" Mr. Du asked softly. Mr. Du seemed like a character who walked out of an old movie. He was thin, wearing an old-fashioned gown. His shoes were cloth, and despite his ordinary attire and gentle brows and eyes, he gave off an impression that he was no ordinary man. The waiter explained the membership card to Mr. Du in great detail. "Can we also apply for one?" Mr. Du inquired next. "I'm really sorry, there are no extra spots for membership cards right now." The waiter looked apologetic. "What did you say?" Wang Ziki frowned slightly and stepped forward. Perhaps having stayed in Shanghai for a long time, Wang Ziki still carried a certain air of lawlessness. In Shanghai, no one dared to reject Mr. Du like this, who treated Mr. Du with anything but respect. "Ziki." Mr. Du spoke softly. Mr. Du. Wang Ziki toned down his aggressiveness somewhat. "Let's go over there and wait." The waiter breathed a sigh of relief. "Please follow me." The 2 of them went to the waiting area. Mr. Du was elegantly sipping tea. Wang Ziki walked from the lobby to the inner hall, and then back to Mr. Du. "Mr. Du, I don't think this is 4th Miss style." Mr. Du laughed lightly. "She's not that clever." He then asked, "How's the investigation going? When can we find the person?" Wang Ziki showed a troubled expression. "Mr. Du, this matter can't be rushed." The smile on Mr. Du's face slowly faded. After a while he asked again, "Is it really that hard to find a person?" His voice was still gentle, but it carried an oppressive feeling. Wang Ziki steeled himself and said, "Mr. Du, we are in Beijing. Don't we even have a clue?" Mr. Du continued to ask. Wang Ziki shook his head. Mr. Du drained the cup of tea, then said, "Don't waste manpower on 4th Miss anymore. Focus on finding her in the future. So we're just going to ignore fourth miss? Wang Ziki asked. If she wants to go mad, let her have a proper fit. Mr. Du put the teacup on the table, his face full of anger. It's unclear whether he's annoyed at the incompetent Wang Ziki or the unrestrained fourth Mississippi. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 669. Shengguan Furong apologizes at the doorway. _1 Master Du appears to be as gentle as jade on the surface, but only Wang Ziki knows what kind of soul is hidden beneath this gentle demeanor. This time, fourth miss is probably not in for anything good. Master Du continued. From this month on, no one is allowed to remit money to fourth Mississippi. All right. Wang Ziki nodded. The Ni family residence. As Ni Yang opened the courtyard door, she was immediately embraced warmly by Emily. Ni Yang. Emily. After not seeing each other for several months, Emily seemed like a completely different person. Her skin was fair and rosy, and the freckles on her nose had disappeared completely, all thanks to the miraculous effects of ice crystal jade skin. Emily was immensely grateful for having met Ni Yang on Shisua Island in Miami. If it wasn't for Ni Yang, she would never have discovered how beautiful she could be. Source web novel. Com, updated on N0New0. Excitedly, Emily hugged Ni Yang. A moment later, Ni Yang released Emily, and they walked into the living room. Emily said, Ni Yang, your home and courtyard are decorated so beautifully. She had always imagined China as a very backward country. It should be chaotic and dirty. But after coming to China, Emily discovered that it is a country with a very rich cultural heritage, completely different from what she had imagined. Ni Yang smiled and said, Thank you for the compliment. Aunt Annie and Anai Tsuehua were chatting on the sofa in the living room. Through long-term learning, Anai Kuihua's oral English skills were now excellent, and there were no obstacles in her communication with Annie. After chatting for a while, Annie revealed her intentions. Ni Yang, I want to become an agent for your product and become the overseas distributor for Ice Crystal Jade Skin. I want more people in Country M to be able to use Ice Crystal Jade Skin. The effects of Ice Crystal Jade Skin are truly excellent. The few dozen products Annie took back last time sold out within a month. Because more and more people were coming to ask Annie to buy Ice Crystal Jade Skin. That's why Annie decided to visit China again. At the same time, this decision was made after careful consideration. Ice Crystal Jade Skin is a rare, good product that will be popular in the future. In order to prevent someone else from taking the opportunity first, she wanted to become the first agent in Country M. She believed that her judgment would not be mistaken. Hearing this, Ni Yang was somewhat surprised. She hadn't expected that Annie wanted to be the agent for Ice Crystal Jade Skin in such a short period of time. Aunt Annie, are you really sure about this? This is the contract, take a look. Annie took out the contract from her bag. There were 4 copies of the contract. 2 in English and 2 in Chinese. Ni Yang picked up the contract, and, while skimming through it, she circled the problematic parts. Aunt Annie, I think these 4 parts need to be revised. Please take a look. Ni Yang passed the revised contract to Annie. Annie took the contract and found that the 4 points Ni Yang had circled seemed fine at first glance, but on closer inspection, she discovered that there were significant loopholes in these areas. Annie looked at Ni Yang, a new layer of admiration visible in her eyes. Ni Yang was about the same age as Emily. Emily couldn't even understand the contract, but Ni Yang could shoulder large responsibilities all by herself. That is truly impressive. All right, Annie nodded and continued. Then these 4 areas will be modified as you suggested. Let's discuss the price issue next. As for the price, I will give you this discount. Ni Yang wrote a discount on a piece of paper. The price she gave was 70% of the normal retail price. The export duties and other transportation costs would be borne by Annie herself. Ni Yang would only be responsible for supplying the products. After calculating this way, the price of each product needs to be 40% higher than the domestic price in order for the agent to make a profit. In other words, if the whitening moisturizer was sold for 230 yuan domestically, it would have to be sold for 322 yuan abroad. However, this was normal. All things exported from foreign countries to China were sold at several times the original price. Isn't it time for the Chinese to have a moment of pride? After quickly calculating the exact price in her heart, Annie said, "Okay, this price is acceptable. Additionally, I have another request." And Yang continued, "This needs to be added to the contract." "You say?" And Yang said, "As ice crystal jade skin is a product of China, once it arrives in country M, it is not allowed to change its packaging, nationality, or founder. Furthermore, no additional trademark may be registered to overshadow it. It can only be ice crystal jade skin. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 670. Shangguan Furong apologizes at the doorway _2. Back in the 1980s, the Chinese did not have much awareness of copyright. This led to many goods being exported from China, repackaged in foreign countries, and then sold as local products. The toilet seat news of the later era is an example. The toilet seats from our country that were so popular among the Chinese were actually made in China. And Yang, having returned from the future, was determined to prevent all such problems. She wanted to avoid any future disputes. Annie nodded. "And Yang, you've thought this through thoroughly. She's incredibly shrewd. Negotiating with her is like playing a game of chess. She was clearly just a teenager, but her considerations were more thorough than an adult's. It was difficult to imagine the capacity of her brain." And Yang continued, "Oh, there's one more thing. Some products of the Ice Skin Jade Flesh line are limited editions. In order to avoid market disturbances in M country, I hope you follow the same practice. General limited editions should be capped at 60 sets per month, and the Supreme Edition only 20 sets. It should be purchased by showing an ID card, limiting 1 set per person per month. Actually, limited edition products are also a marketing strategy. After all, rarity is precious. Only when it becomes expensive will people cherish it." Source: Webnovel. Com. Updated on N0 New. Anai nodded, indicating no objections. And Yang smiled. "If Aunt Annie agrees to all the points I've made, we can sign the contract as soon as it's drafted." And Yang raced to a successful partnership. Annie extended her right hand towards Yang. "To a successful partnership." And Yang shook her hand warmly. After successfully concluding negotiations, Annie proposed to leave. And Yang smilingly said, "Aunt Annie, you are not familiar with China. If you don't mind, you can stay over tonight, and I can take Emily around tomorrow." When they were in M country, and Yang had promised Emily she'd show her around. Since they've already moved into their new house, there was no need to worry about not having enough rooms. On hearing this, Emily jumped up and down in excitement. Yes, yes. She liked Yang very much and wished she could be with Yang every day. Annie said, "Then we'll take you up on your kind offer." In the afternoon, Yang took Emily for a walk around the village. The village was bustling because a new road was being built. The villagers were intrigued by the foreign girl. Yang, who is this foreign girl? What's her name? Which country is she from? How old is she? Emily, not understanding Chinese, curiously looked at Yang. Yang first translated the villagers' questions into English, then told them, "Her name is Emily. She's a good friend I met in M country. She's 18 years old." "Oh, so her name is Lily." "I think calling her Lily sounds better, just like Yang's name. This Lily is good-looking, just like a doll on TV." The fashionable name of Emily was instantly transformed into a rustic Lily by the villagers. Oddly enough, it sounded quite nice. "What are they saying?" Emily looked at Yang. Yang grinned and replied, "They are all saying that they like you a lot and that you look pretty, like a doll." "Really?" Emily looked at Yang, absolutely thrilled. "Really?" Yang nodded. Emily immediately bowed to the villagers, stuttering in Mandarin. "Think wipe you. You're welcome, you're welcome." As they left the construction site, Emily remarked, "And Young, the Chinese people are so friendly." And Young nodded. "Yes, we Chinese are really friendly." The two of them arrived at the foot of the mountain. In November, most of the plants had withered, but a special kind of plant on the mountain was blooming against the wind. From a distance, the slope was carpeted in bright red, almost giving the illusion of early spring. These were the red camellia flowers. "Wow. It's so beautiful here," Emily proposed. "And Young, can we go to the mountain and pick some flowers?" Country, due to its terrain and climate, has more rainforests and islands, and hardly any small scenic mountains like in China. Just like there are very few rainforests in China. "Sure." And Young nodded. This was Emily's first visit to China, and her first time climbing a mountain. She was exceptionally excited. Jinghua Mountain is a rocky mountain. There are not many large trees, mostly shrubbery and small pine trees, and of course the camellia flowers. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 671. Shangguan Furong apologizes at the doorway. _3. Emily picks a camellia flower and tucks it behind her ear. "And Young, do I look good like this?" "Beautiful." And Young nods. "You should wear one too." Emily snaps off a camellia and fastens it to Yang's ear. "And Young, you look gorgeous too." Camellia, already a bright and conspicuous flower, now, pinned to Yang's ear, appears somewhat dimmed and lackluster. Perhaps this is what is meant by the phrase, "Beauty pales before her." Before long, Emily gathers a handful of camellia flowers. "And Young, what's this?" Emily has somehow managed to pluck a handful of hawthorn fruits. "This is hawthorn. It's not too bad, give it a try," and Young suggests. Jinghua Mountain is rich in resources, not only given to camellia flowers but also to hawthorn fruits. The small hawthorns grow very delicately, resembling miniature apples. "Can I eat this?" Emily looks at Young with surprise. And Young nods. Source: web novel. Com, updated on Omicron. Emily bites timidly into a hawthorn. The sour and sweet flavors explode on her tongue. Yum! I've never tasted this back in country. And Young smiles. Hawthorns can not only be eaten directly but can also be made into candied hawthorn, hawthorn slices, and hawthorn cakes. Candied hawthorn, especially once processed, can taste delicious. Really? Emily is somewhat surprised. Of course it's true. Emily grabs Yang's hand. And Young, there are plenty more hawthorn fruits here. Shall we pick more and make something tasty out of them? Sure. And Young nods slightly. The hawthorn tree is not tall, but its branches are fully adorned with bright red hawthorn fruits. In no time, they've filled a whole bag with them. After picking the hawthorns, Young spots a tall bamboo citrus tree, its branches laden with bright yellow bamboo citrus. Bamboo citrus, also known as wooden bamboo. Though it tastes sour and sweet like hawthorn, its flavor is completely unique. Seeing Young looking up at the bamboo citrus tree, Emily curiously asks, "And Young, can we eat these too?" The mountain is so much fun. Not only are the views fantastic, but there are so many treats to eat. And Young nods. "Yeah, you can eat them. Wanna try?" "Yes." Emily nods eagerly. And Young then says, "I'll climb up and pick some, and you can catch them below." "Can you really climb this tall tree?" Emily was skeptical. Yes. And Young, though wearing a cheongsam, has no problem scaling the tree. She makes it to the top in just a few quick movements, leaving Emily staring in surprise. "And Young, you're amazing." Picking them one by one would take too long. So Young, from her perch in the tree, gently shakes the branches. Like rain, the ripe bamboo citrus fall to the ground. That's enough. Emily below doesn't know which ones to pick up. And Young slowly descends from the tree, picks a yellow bamboo citrus from the ground, wipes it carelessly on her coat, and takes a bite. The casual gesture exudes a kind of unruly charm, just like a female general on the battlefield, clad in bright armor. So cool. The ripe bamboo citrus is not sour at all. It's soft and sweet, Much more delicious than the bamboo citrus Young used to buy from the supermarket in her later life. Emily, imitating Young, bites into a bamboo citrus and exclaims, "This is even better than the hawthorn." The two of them pick plenty more bamboo citrus fruits. Combined with their earlier haul of camellia flowers and hawthorns, they returned home loaded with goodies. By the time they got home, it was already past 5 in the afternoon. Young begins preparing dinner. Tsuehua helps her with the preparations. Annie takes care of little Yin. Emily plays with Duo in the courtyard. Duo, the mischievous bird, loves playing with Emily. That night, Young prepares a feast. There's sour fish, mouth-watering roasted chicken, tangy pickled chicken feet, braised pork belly, shrimp and vermicelli soup, and a breast-enhancing pig's feet stew with kelp. The beverage is fresh squeezed pomegranate juice. The bright red pomegranate juice, poured into transparent wine glasses, is as alluring as wine. When Chingue arrives home, the dishes have just been laid out on the table. Young takes the initiative to introduce Annie and Emily to Chingue. Although Annie had visited once before, she returned to her country the same day and never met Chingue. "Mrs. Ni, this is Annie, and this is Annie's daughter Emily." Young goes on. "Annie is interested in representing our ice-cold jade skin brand in country. She is here to discuss the partnership. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 672. Shangguan Farang apologizes at the doorway _4. Hearing this, Chingue exclaimed in surprise, "Really? Our can go international now." Young nodded. "That's fantastic." Chingue said with a deeply moved smile on his face, turning to look at Annie and Emily. "Hello, I'm Chingue." Chingue didn't speak English, leaving Emily and Annie looking at each other perplexed, unable to understand what Chingue meant. Young smiled and translated for them. When Chingue saw Tsuehua could communicate normally with them, his face was full of disbelief. "Yang's mom, you're really amazing." Although he had known for some time that Tsuehua was learning English, Chingue didn't realize that her English skills had gotten so good. Tsuehua smiled and said, "When I have nothing else to do at home, I practice on my own. After spending so much time, I'd be embarrassed if I still couldn't do it." After all, she had also spent several months on it. "It looks like I really need to study hard, or else I'll be the one falling behind. But Yang's mom, you're really smart." A year ago, Tsuehua was just an illiterate rural woman. Now, not only had her appearance and temperament changed, but her knowledge had also improved along with them. Moreover, Tsuehua was someone who loved to learn and had the perseverance to keep at it. Whenever she had free time, she would find a book to read, no matter what kind of book, she could get into it. Chingue truly admired her. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New. Tsuehua smiled and said, "Sister Chingue, you sure know how to make me happy. You just haven't started learning. If you did, I'm sure you'd be smarter than me. Come on, let's eat. The dishes will get cold. I'll go wash my hands." Chingue put his bag on the sofa and went to the washroom to wash his hands. Because they were aware that Emily and Annie wouldn't know how to use chopsticks, Young had specifically prepared knives and forks for them. Emily didn't have much expectation for Chinese food at first. She had eaten at Chinese restaurants in country before. The taste was quite ordinary, not at all better than Western food. But it was only when she tasted Yang's cooking that she discovered what real Chinese food was like. The flavor was stunning. Delicious. It's really amazing. Emily could hardly stop herself from swallowing her tongue along with the food. Seeing Emily's reaction, Annie also lowered her head to taste a bite of the shrimp and vermicelli soup. The soup was rich in flavor, the shrimp was springy, and the vermicelli was full of the savory broth. Biting into it brought a deeply satisfying combination of flavors, much more delightful than plain bread and sandwiches. My goodness! The Chinese were too lucky to be able to eat such delicious food. Very tasty. Annie gave Young a thumbs up. Young smiled and said, "If you like it, eat more." The next day, and Yang took Emily to climb the Great Wall and visit the Forbidden City. They took many photos and didn't return home until after 6 in the evening. Back home, Suehua had already prepared dinner. After eating, Annie handed over the newly drafted contract to Yang. Yang, if everything looks fine, we can sign the contract. Besides drafting the contract, Annie had also completed many procedures that day. The Qing dynasty had suffered from its closed-door policy, but modern China was very welcoming to foreigners. Moreover, at this time, export trade wasn't very extensive, so Annie got all the procedures almost completed. Yang looked over the contract and, finding no issues, signed her name on it. Annie took out 5 thick bundles of USD from her bag. Yang, this is the first deposit. Once we get back to M country, we'll transfer the second payment, and afterward, we'll proceed with a cash-on-delivery payment model. Annie had requested a large quantity this time. There was a total of more than $50,000. Converted to RMB, it was more than 400,000. Yang nodded. That's fine. The following day, Annie and Emily left Yang's home. After completing all the paperwork, they took a flight back to M country that very night. Annie only checked in a little more than 50 boxes of the products to take with her. The rest were to be shipped by sea. The goods were expected to arrive in about half a month. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Lin Feng had been visiting the Shangguan family more frequently these days, but coincidentally, every time she came, Shangguan Furong was not at home. On several occasions, it was Zhao Shen who hosted Lin Feng. Today was no exception. Comrade Xiaolin, please have some tea. Zhao Shen served Lin Feng a cup of tea. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 673. Shangguan Furong apologizes at the doorway. _5. Lin Feng picked up the cup, took a sniff and laughed. This is the top-grade Bilyuakun. But to be honest, compared to green tea like Bilyuakun, I prefer black-red tea like pure. I always feel that black-red tea is more charming, green tea is too light. Upon hearing this, Zhao Shen exclaimed excitedly, really? I think so too. Finding a soulmate who shares your interests in this world is not easy at all. Zhao Shen was now extremely excited. Lin Feng laughed and said, well, we really have the same bad taste. Zhao Shen continued, however, Furong doesn't like black-red tea, so I threw away all the black-red tea at home. Otherwise, I could steep a cup of pure for you now. Speaking of which, that pure tea cake was brought back from Zhongnan. It has been kept for more than 10 years. Zhao Shen's words were filled with regret. Probably only tea lovers would understand his feelings. A pure tea cake that has been stored for more than 10 years is a top-grade tea that can't be purchased in normal times. As Lin Feng observed Zhao Shen's expression, she said, that's a real pity. Sister Furong seems to be quite nice in general. Why is her character so peculiar? You drink yours, she drinks hers. There's no need to waste good stuff? Zhao Shen lowered his head and took a sip of green tea, ignoring Lin Feng's words. Grandma Zhao walked over. Xiaolin, if Furong was as understanding as you are, I would be satisfied. Lin Feng laughed. Grandma, you're joking. I'm just speaking truthfully. Actually, Sister Furong is a really nice person. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New Zero. Omicron, she is a good person, it's just that her character is a bit quirky, Grandma Zhao continued. Otherwise, why would she even offend her own mother? Lin Feng chuckled but didn't respond. Because some things are better left unsaid. The more you say, the more it can backfire. Lin Feng didn't stay at the Zhao family's home for long before she proposed leaving. Grandma Zhao said, Shenbao, help me send Xiaolin off. All right. Zhao Shen grabbed his car keys and stood up to accompany Lin Feng. Lin Feng gently declined. No need to send me, it's not that far anyway, I can take a taxi back. Upon hearing this, Zhao Shen was about to put down the car keys. Grandma Zhao frowned slightly and continued. Just let Zhao Shen send you, it's not like he has anything to do at home anyway. This time Lin Feng didn't refuse, then he'll trouble brother-in-law. Zhao Shen retracted his half-stretched hand. The two of them walked out the door together. Lin Feng took the passenger seat. On the road, Lin Feng tried her best to find mutual topics with Zhao Shun. Because she had done her research beforehand, the two of them enjoyed their conversation more and more. Unfortunately, they soon arrived at Lin Feng's building, and their conversation ceased. Zhao Shun is a very gentlemanly person. He first got out of the car and walked around to the other side to open the car door for Lin Feng. Thank you. Lin Feng stepped out of the car. But because she was wearing high heels that day, she didn't pay attention when getting out of the car. Her foot twisted and she stumbled forward. Luckily, Zhao Shun reacted in time and stopped her fall. Lin Feng fell into Zhao Shun's arms. Zhao Shun stood there rather helplessly. With a smirk, Lin Feng held onto Zhao Shun's waist and straightened her body. Her eyes filled with a hint of playfulness. Brother-in-law, thank you. Are you okay? Zhao Shun asked with concern. I'm fine, just twisted my ankle. Lin Feng pretended to be strong. Though clearly in her 30s, pretending to be weak didn't seem awkward at all. If you're okay, then I'll go first. Zhao Shun immediately put a safe distance between Lin Feng and himself, turned around, and got back into his car. Watching the black car drive away, Lin Feng bit her lip in frustration. Idiot. This Zhao Shun is just an idiot. Good meat was being delivered to his doorstep, and he didn't know to eat it. No wonder he was tightly controlled by Shangguan Furong. But she was not in a rush. She was confident that she could win over Zhao Shun. It was just a matter of time. When Zhao Shun got home, he just happened to run into Shangguan Furong, who had just returned from playing cards outside. Shangguan Furong glanced at him. Didn't you have anything to do today? Where have you been? Just now Xiaolin came to our house looking for you. Since you weren't at home, we let me send her back. Zhao Shun didn't hide anything from Shangguan Furong. Shangguan Furong nodded. I understand. Now go and make me a cup of coffee with milk. And she didn't take Lin Feng seriously. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.